Hello, everybody!
Away, 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 away.
So excited for tonight.
How's everybody doing?
How do you even find this?
Switching off the music here. We were doing some warm up in the studio.
Dude, we were dancing.
We were
Like if there's no tomorrow.
There is no tomorrow.
And people were already commenting before we even started it. That's amazing, you
Look at
guys.
these people.
Shout out to
Yeah.
Dale and Clarissa who were here
Guys,
first.
let's see who were the first people on here.
That's true.
Dale Brooks and Clarissa. Okay, you just mentioned them.
You guys are gonna get special gifts. We're gonna send them to you.
When we make merch, you guys can
Yeah, maybe we should give some prizes for people that comment first on the podcast.
Yeah.
So
Good
cool,
morning.
so
Hi,
cool.
Auntie Deirdre.
Hello, everyone.
Janet, how you doing, Janet?
How Auntie Deirdre?
Yeah, so spoiler alert, I think you guys already read there in the title that we're gonna continue with our culture talk.
Culture shock.
We're gonna continue with the subject because last time we spent about 2 hours, almost 2 hours,
We were rambling.
talking about everything, and we couldn't cover it all. And then we felt no, it's needed. So we're gonna be talking a little bit more. We lost our Asian representative.
Yeah,
She's sick. Sorry.
she's fine.
So Wei Jen, we hope you get well. Yeah, no, it's not corona, guys.
It's
It's
not
just some
corona.
allergies. It
Chinese.
got like really, really cold.
Yeah.
So yeah, but she's okay. She couldn't just be here with us, but she's probably watching. I hope so. Wei Jen, put on your YouTube right
Tune
now.
on.
It's so cold now. There's snow on the mountains here in Worcester.
Wow, yeah, you see that, right?
And it's just weird. Like all of a sudden became cold. Like all just like one day it was
Yeah.
just cold. And then
In Worcester,
snow.
it doesn't rain, it doesn't get cold, but when it gets cold, it really, really gets cold.
Yeah. So that's why we all look like clothed up.
All packed up.
It was just like a week, and now we're all just like with different clothes. But we're good. Yeah.
Very excited for tonight.
Yeah, and please be active in the comments so that we can get more of your suggestions of cultures and stuff or topics that we need to speak about. We missed out on a lot actually on our last show. We missed out on a lot of things we wanted to speak about, like famous people of our cultures, weddings, funerals. So this episode we're gonna do all of that.
Yes,
Yeah.
we will. We will. So, how you guys doing there? You know, from a foreign perspective, foreigner, coming here to South Africa, like when I came, I was super surprised that you guys got snow. You know, like I came in July, and it was like since all my time here, it was I think was the coldest winter that we had. I remember coming into this glory hall, and then
2008?
everybody, 2007.
2007.
So everybody coming with their blankets, like literally bringing their blankets into the hall, and then Stefan, the base leader at that time, he would stand here in front and he would say, last night was like the lowest temperature in South Africa for the last 50 years. I was like, oh gosh, really? Like, it was
It's
crazy.
getting
It was,
colder.
we got -7.
Wow.
Like -7. That mountain was covered by snow, like up
Yeah.
to half of it. Like,
Oh wow.
yeah, it
So
was crazy.
beautiful.
It was crazy.
But I'm enjoying the soup. I'm enjoying the soup.
Soup weather, guys.
I don't know, we have to go back to food.
Butternut soup.
Yeah. Butternut soup, and
Love it.
we had another like.
Lentil
Lentil
soup.
Lentil
That was
soup
really
was so good yesterday.
Let us know in the comments if you also had soup.
Tell us what your favorite
Soup and
soup
hot
is.
chocolate, guys. That's what's.
Yeah, Lorena made a promise today at the table
She's gonna make soup.
that she's gonna make soup, so we're expecting. We had guacamole. which has nothing to do with
Cold
winter weather. But I mean, we
That's
had
a
to
summer
use
food
those avocados there, so I was like, guacamole it is. Cool. So, where should we start?
For the people that are first time watching, maybe we should introduce ourselves
Here we
all
go.
over again because we
Thank you,
do that
Dylan.
every week because you guys don't know us. I
But
mean,
we know you.
but we know you. Yeah. So my name is Dylan. My name is Dylan Ethan Brooks, aka Smokey, aka Man vs Wild, aka the Ethan. And I'm colored South African, and we'll get more into the definitions later. Yeah.
Hey everybody, good evening, good night, or depending on where you're watching from.
That's true.
My name is Cabello, second name is Colin, second name is Mboina, right here from South Africa. I am Sotho, but born in South Africa, but my language is from the Lesotho country, country within. So yes,
If you were from Burundi, you wouldn't have that surname.
Because they don't have surnames.
Because
They don't have.
they said last, don't you remember?
That is-
Shout out to
In the last episode, people in Burundi, they don't have surnames.
Okay,
you go.
you can't hear him.
Hello, my name is Burger Summers, and I am. Is it working now?
Okay, maybe let's just repeat Cabello.
Yeah. Go back to Cabello.
Okay, do
Yeah,
over.
please go back to Cabello. It was
Sorry,
actually
guys.
mute. Sorry, my bad.
Can you hear me?
all right, repeat. My name is Cabello, Colin Mukwena, South African,
Colin.
and I am Sotho. So yes, it's gonna be cool chatting with you guys.
Thank you guys for the shout out on the mic. It's working now.
Yeah.
We are back on. Hey guys, my name is Burger Summers. I am Afrikaans South African. Also, as Dylan said, aka Cheesy, aka Kasi for everyone. Went to high school with me. There's like 2 people of you here.
And your name in Asia?
Steve? In the whole of Southeastern Asian, I am known as Steve.
Hi guys, my name is Liz Aguiar McCarthy. I'm from Brazil. Ooh, representing the South America.
I'm Jen Davenport. I am from the States. I'm obviously white, so I'm representing white American culture.
Do you have a nickname?
It's already Jen. Like, my name is Jennifer Rose Davenport since we're doing full names,
Okay.
but I go by Jen already.
I sometimes call it Davenpoop, but she doesn't like that.
Devin
That's-
Poop.
Wow, thanks for putting that on the internet, Burger.
I call
I
you
had to
Jean
put it out there.
sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes people call me Jean. Somebody called me JR when I was a kid because my second name is Rose.
Ah, okay.
Ooh, I like
My family calls me Jenny.
From the block.
Jenny from the block.
So you're Jennifer Rose, right?
Jennifer Rose.
That's
Davenport.
like very artistic
I know,
name.
I
That's
know.
like when you're in
like famous
trouble.
Very
people name.
unique.
Jennifer Rose.
Jennifer
You
Rose
know
Davenport.
Jennifer Rose? Nose?
So you sound like a yeah,
From
like,
that movie?
From that movie, yeah, like
From
you know.
The Office?
That movie.
Cool.
Cool. My name is Samuel Mendonça Santos. I am
Wow.
Brazilian, and I'm representing Brazil and a little bit of South Africa and the missionary third culture kid here today. So, yeah, we have three Brazilians here to represent. 3.
Did the people ever make fun of you because of your surname?
Yeah, bro. So there's
Yeah.
a singer in South Africa. He passed away a few years ago, but his name was Mandoza. And so they used to call me, Mandoza. And whenever I would say my surname near, like, the black kids in school, they would just burst out into laughter. and then they would start dancing. And I was like, I don't know your songs, which was the best. But and then he passed away, and then it stopped. So I don't know if I ever prayed, like, God, let this end, but it cost a
Yeah.
man's life. Yeah.
Mendoza.
Yo, my name is Junior. I'm from Brazil. I'm obviously yellow, so I represent all the different colors of my country, which we don't have one color.
are
We
yellow.
have many. Yeah.
The 3 of us.
So, yeah, let's do this.
Yes, woo.
Okay, so we're going to start like already 100 kilometers per hour.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do this.
And
Let's do it. Let's jump right in.
world famous people in your culture. So I want to hear who is famous in your culture and why. And yeah, that would
Okay,
be.
Okay.
I want to start.
Okay, there you go.
I'm gonna start with our famous people from soccer,
Go
If you
for it.
know Brazilian soccer, you know two names, Pelé and also Neymar. Neymar is well known right now, but Pelé was also very well known before.
Yeah.
And Ronaldinho.
Ronaldinho, that's
And
true.
Rubinho.
And Rubinho.
And what's the guy? Roberto Carlos, Kaká.
Kaka.
Roberto Carlos, how do you know his name?
Because okay, yeah, fun fact: South African colored people, a lot of them, like because we didn't like for a long time, South Africa didn't have like I think like in apartheid didn't really have like people of color that also like had people. How can I say?
Like playing sports.
Yeah, playing
Participating
sports,
in
but
sports. I see.
like in the rugby and stuff like that. So we watched Brazilian soccer.
Okay,
Like all the kids know like Brazilian soccer, and there's so much kids that they name after like Brazilian soccer players.
That's
like
so cool.
we were raised to support Brazil as a nation.
Aw,
Like, yeah,
that's so nice.
Yeah, like my shout
I
out
mean,
to
not
my
that
father.
you didn't have players, but
Yeah.
it's nice that you
Yeah.
embrace us.
Like, and there's even one team in South Africa. Their nickname is called the Brazilians. Sundowns, no? So,
That's cute.
so
Oh, okay.
Yo, hello, Mike. Mike Masari. Hello from Chicago.
from Chicago.
I was just talking about the Bulls
Mike.
Yo,
like
Chicago.
a minute
Hi,
ago.
Michael.
That's right behind
That's so
me.
cool, Mike.
I live an hour and a
Welcome.
half from Chicago. We're neighbors, Mike.
Yeah.
I think that's it for Brazilians, right?
So,
Okay.
yeah, I mean,
You have more
yeah.
We have the top model Gisele Bündchen, but
Victoria's Secret model.
yeah, she was not anymore. She's married to that.
Tom Brady.
Yeah, Tom Brady.
Helen is up to date.
Brady, Tom Brady.
Brady.
He's a American football player,
Yeah,
like the best.
he was
super
right.
fam-
He's not
he was,
anymore.
Is he retired?
Brian, correct
You're
me.
asking
If
the
Brian
wrong
is
person.
watching, Brian will know. Brian, correct us if
Somebody
it's
who
the
follows-
best now.
Yeah.
All right, yeah. So there's some people out there. So Cabelo, tell me, who's the famous Soto people?
All right. Famous Sutu person that I'm going to mention is Khotsong Khatu.
Oh, I love him.
Khotsong Khatu is thespian. That guy, he writes a lot of stories. He writes a lot of stories. He was basically like when it comes to my culture in terms of shows on TV that we watched and everything, if they included Sotu, Pedi kind of a thing, he was somehow related to it. I would say he's also a poet. He's a radio personality. He's big. He's eyed. He's got different shows that have hit the screens and they kind of big. Yeah. So he's awesome. But also there's another Khotso, which is Khotso Mokoena. Khotso Mokoena, he was in the Olympics. He was good in high jump and he went big with high jump. Sort of like how you guys got
Van Niekerk.
Wade
Yeah,
Van Niekerk.
we have
Oh,
Wade
is
Van
that one
Niekerk.
with the stick that you just go like?
I was
you put the
about
stick
to
on and
ask
you jump
that.
like
No, that's
that?
So
pole
what is
vault.
That's
what is
pole
high
vault.
jump?
Long jump. This is
Oh.
long jump.
High jump is
So
when
we
you
have
run
long jump.
and
Yeah.
then you jump and like turn your back
Ooh.
over
Oh.
Yeah.
over a pole and then you land on.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
that's
never
awesome.
like
High
we
jump.
have to do that in school. I never.
And then you land on sand, right?
No, you land
Yeah.
on like a
because you have to do like
platform.
Now, the Xhosa people are not presented here in the group, but I'm also going to say we have Nelson Mandela, from, from South Africa. So he's Xhosa. He's known everywhere,
So,
Nelson Mandela.
I asked Cabello before we started
Never heard of the guy.
if I could ask him some questions. So as he mentioned that Mandela is Xhosa.
Yeah.
So how close is the Xhosa people and the Soto people?
Very far, very far apart. Very, very
So you
far
guys
apart.
are different, right?
Yes, we are different in terms of the culture within itself, the behaviors, the upbringing, simple things like looking at an adult in their face when you speak to them. All of those things, they really differ. Even Zulus, we as Sotho people, we are far from Zulu, but not as far as we are to Xhosa people. But Xhosa and Zulu, they are actually quite closely related, even though I think they will hate when I say this. But from my perspective as a Sotho person, I think I see them as being close to
That's deep.
yeah,
That's deep. That's deep.
to one another.
Burger, who's famous? Afrikaner.
I think the
Famous
most
person.
famous one would be Charlize Theron.
Oh.
Tron.
Nobody knows her, right?
Charlize
Who's
Theron.
If
that?
you don't know who I'm
What a
talking about,
babe.
Charlize Theron.
Yes, that's her
It's
name.
actually pronounced Tron, so now you
Oh,
know.
really?
Yeah.
Yo, Charlize Theron.
I think she's the most famous.
She's straight up out of
Um,
Benoni.
Yeah.
She's
Yeah,
out of
she's
Benoni,
true. We, this dude is supposed to be famous, but whenever I say his name, no one knows where he is. He's called Christian Barnard, and he
I
did
know
like
Christian
the first
Barnard.
heart
First
transplant.
heart transplant in the world.
We have that dude.
We have that.
Okay,
Every
this
rugby
one,
player.
What
every
about,
rugby player that plays for the Springboks. Yes,
what about Elon Musk?
yes. Elon Musk is white South African, but not Afrikaans.
Okay.
But I will represent him since we don't have any white English people here. But Elon Musk also South African.
Who's
Yes.
the guy that is the face of Lay's from the World Cup?
The face of Lays.
Lay's chips?
Yeah, Lay's chips in South Africa. You know, like he done all the adverts.
Oh.
All right.
You think he was a rugby player? He won.
I don't remember that.
1995 or 1994, the World Cup when South Africa won the rugby World
Scott
Cup.
Burger?
No,
Is
you,
Schalk Burger the Lays?
no, like, he's that one guy, man.
I don't know.
I don't remember.
I want to
I
send
really
a
don't.
shout out to Lace.
If you
wanna
know-
sponsor us, Lace, we're here.
He's what,
In the comments, if you know what white rugby player represented Lays or the like commercials
he's
for
a
them,
2000.
let us know.
He was the captain of the Springboks rugby team when we won
Oh!
the
that's-
World
The
Cup.
Isn't that
95
the
World
dude that
Cup?
they made the movie about?
Hansi, no, it's not Hansi.
No, Anzi was cricket.
cricket, but we don't speak about that.
we don't speak about that one.
We don't speak about
Alright.
Hansi
That
from
one.
here.
We have on the comments, the guys are just confirming that Tom Brady is still playing.
Was it
Oh,
Bakis
yeah, there we
Botha?
go.
Bakis
Yeah, and
Botha.
he
Dale
was
says
a
he's Bakis
quarterback.
Botha.
Is Bakis Dale, not Bakis Botha. Dale is the guy. Is the guy. He's in all the lace. So in
Hey,
all the
man,
lace.
Can someone Google that
Where's
for us,
Bianca?
please?
Bianca, which one was in the Lays commercials?
He's in the. He's you know.
Francois
Leo-
Pienaar.
Francois Pienaar.
Was it him?
Oh, but that's the
Samantha
rugby
says-
captain from
she says it's
94.
Francois
That's what I
Pienaar.
just said.
Yes,
The-
that's
the dude
him.
So
from
that's the movie, Invictus.
Invictus.
Yes.
Yes. With Matt Damon. And I actually haven't seen this movie.
Who haven't seen the movie?
The movie has been like on my list for the past 2 years, but I haven't
Invictus.
watched it. Yeah.
Are you serious? You never watched
Dude,
it?
before
seen
2
it.
years ago, I didn't know the movie existed.
Oh,
And
you-
then I got told about the movie, and I should just watch it. I always
Francois
forget about
Do you
it.
know who's also
Samantha is
famous in
in
the
there,
white
yes.
people? Faith Like Potatoes. What's it?
Angus Buchan.
Angus
Angus
Buchan.
Buchan,
he
yeah.
is,
Angus
uh,
Buchan.
Yeah,
Okay,
among the Christians.
this
he's
guy is
super
not
famous.
famous, but he should be Leon Schuster. He's a
Shout out to
Afrikaans
Leon.
comedian.
Prankster.
Yes,
Gatva- oh,
he's like a
shucks,
prankster. He does
gatva.
like just for laughs, stuff like that. Where like he always pranks people, but
Yeah.
he's
I
really good.
think the whole world got to know him during the World Cup when he did the prank with the Vuvuzela.
Give my
Oh,
vuvuzela.
yeah, yeah.
He cut it
my-
short.
Where he
That
cut
was
them
so
off.
cool.
Where's
Yeah.
my vuvuzela? Okay, my favorite one of him is the one with Mike Scudder. And then he like it's an old one, and this
Oh,
guy
he's one of
like
the old ones.
he's like he always like plays with the people with, like, cause he actually Leon Schuster was so cool because even during apartheid he would dress up like as people of color and make
Yeah.
fun of white people, white
Yeah.
Afrikaners.
Yeah.
So he was actually like revolutionary.
Shame, guys.
He was dope.
Dale saying, I just say Bakis Bhutto because I liked him. You are allowed to like him, Dale. Okay, we support you.
It's your choice, my
Okay.
bro. It's your choice.
That's cool.
So, Jen, is there any?
Wait, we forgot Trevor Noah.
Oh, what? Okay, wait. I have
Okay,
to speak
wait.
here.
Controversy.
Trevor
Okay,
Noah.
so who is representing?
Okay, I just have to say this might be controversial, but
Go
Trevor
for it.
Noah is not colored. Shock.
That is right.
Shocker for
Gasp.
the whole world.
For, he is colored by color, but not by culture. So
Correct.
us as colored people, we like him, but like he identifies more with Koza.
His mother is closer.
So
And
he
his
his
father's
family.
Swiss.
and he grew up in the Koza township.
So it-
He didn't grow up in Kuils River or in Belleville or
El Dorado Park.
He
Flat.
didn't, he didn't, but we like, we give him the look, you know, like, we respect him.
Yeah, but
He's
yeah,
one of those
got it.
banana
But
types.
he's not colored, just for everyone to know that.
You know, coming into South Africa as a foreigner, Trevor Noah. I mean, when I learned English and I could actually understand his jokes,
Yeah.
he was like probably the main teacher of South African culture for me as well.
Yeah,
For me
he's
too.
The I started watching his stand-up comedy shows, and then the moment that I started getting the jokes, I felt like, dude, I'm kind of like, I'm nailing it. Like
Yeah.
I feel part of this culture now, And then we went actually to his show.
Wow.
I went to twice to his show. Dude, I left it like it was hurting, like like my mouth and my face was hurting so much that I love. And everybody's so diverse. There's people from like representing every culture in the audience. He makes fun of
But that's what he
everybody, and
That's true.
everybody just loves, and
his
it's
power.
amazing.
You know what I
Amazing.
think? What
a
Trevor
guy.
Noah, he really represents all of South Africa because his father's white European. That's all the Afrikaners. That's where they come from. His mother represents the black part of South Africa, and then he's brown. He's colored looking, So, like he represents, and he identifies with all of us.
Exactly.
Like So he's cool.
Matt is asking here, who remembers the Day Walker? Day Walker.
Hey.
So good.
And
So
now
good.
Trevor is also American, so he can even
Yeah, we
identify.
stole
He's
him.
American
Sorry,
now.
guys.
Right?
Oh, that's
Right?
good.
And it's like he knows everything about American politics, which is amazing.
Dude,
I see
he's,
him
like,
talking about
fully
it.
adapted. He's like a proper American.
Super smart.
he's
He's
good in what he
filling up
does.
theaters in America, like,
Yeah.
f-
I had a
shows.
ticket to
Buddy's
see him
hours.
in London, and then coronavirus happened. But he's like filling out stadium, like theaters all around the world.
Yeah, I'm glad I went to his show like before he was like worldly
Yeah, I was
famous.
about to
Because
say.
now I cannot afford it, I think.
Right?
Then he was like, it was crazy that he would even dare to go make such a big show when he wasn't that much of a well-known comedian in South Africa.
Yeah, I remember like we paid what 200 rand for
Whoa,
the
man,
tickets.
that's
Now it's like
crazy.
2,000.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
no, there's no way you'd get it for that now.
So maybe I can, if you guys want to still know good comedians, colored comedians, Dylan Oliphant,
I know Dylan
I know
Oliphant. He's
Dylan as well.
awesome.
he's really funny.
There's also another guy called Colin.
Colin, he's
Yeah.
funny. A big OG is, what's the guy with the big hair? Like he has
Afro. He has an afro.
he has an afro. Yes, so the
Yeah.
Mark Lotterin.
Mark
He's an OG when it comes to stand up.
Oh, what is OG?
Original gangster.
Original gangster, like OG. He
Don't get it confused with OD. That's
Yeah, that's-
another
real
thing.
deal.
Yeah, he's
The
the real
OG.
deal. He's the OG.
The original gangster.
Who else? All the Goliath brothers, they're really good. And then Riyad Musa, he's
Riyad.
also funny. Riyad Musa, he's also like, cause him
He's
and
Muslim as well.
yeah, he's Cape Townian
Yeah.
Muslim, like
Yo.
Malay.
Really, yeah,
He came up the same time as Trevor, but he took like the other route. So he's like famous in Canada and he's famous in like other
Oh,
European.
he's alternative.
Yeah, he's indie. He's
Very
indie.
Garage
But he has a
band.
good movie.
Yeah,
he has a
indie.
good movie.
Material.
It's on Netflix.
Material.
Yeah, shout
Beautiful.
out.
Yeah,
movie.
Matt met him, I
Very
think,
cool.
once.
Is it?
I heard that's a South African movie coming out to Netflix on the 8th. Netflix not sponsoring us, guys, but
But they should.
they,
or
they
they
say it's
should.
gonna be like a really good movie. It's about like South African urban legends and stuff. So I saw the like a teaser. It looked really cool.
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm looking
Also,
forward
yeah,
to watch it.
Let's.
Sorry, Dale just called me Joe Barber. You guys must watch it. Did anybody watch Joe Barber? Yeah.
No.
Anybody know of Joe Barber?
No.
Yo, guys, that's like, that's the most colored thing ever, and it's the most truest thing. Like, if you want to say who's famous, we have everyone else when they have Joe Barber, and only colored people know about Joe Barber. It's
Okay.
about these two guys that own a barber shop. It's like like a comic skit that, yeah.
Oh.
Shout out to Talib Peterson. I don't know if he's alive or he's dead, but Talib Peterson, like, yeah, he and David Kramer, they are like two pioneers of Cape Townian art and Cape Townian acting, and Vanessa on Seven the Line. Shout out to Vanessa also.
Okay, Vanessa. That's yeah.
Isn't
good.
there's a guy from Worcester that is on 7 Eleven?
Yes, I don't know who he is.
Clinton.
Shout out to Clinton.
We're friends on Facebook for some reason. I mean, we've played soccer together, so that's how we
He was
know
in
each
my high
other.
school,
So
so
Is
he
it?
was in your high school. Yeah, I mean it's Worcester, so everybody knows everybody. So yeah, but
True.
he's on 7-Eleven.
Yeah.
How like they say, locals like.
Local is
Hey.
liquor.
Yeah.
Look, don't forget it.
Jen, right?
Yes.
So is there anybody famous in your culture?
I
Jen.
don't think of any. No,
think so.
I don't think so. We can move right along with that one.
Captain America.
The culture of the world.
Yeah, that's the thing. Everyone knows all the famous people from my culture. So there's some minor TV people or like writers, comedians, things like that. But I mean, everyone knows my culture.
Michael
I can guarantee you
Scott.
probably watched a movie today with someone in my
Mike's Cup
culture in it.
Paper Company.
Michael Scott is American hero. Was the guy that Stan Lee?
Stanley.
Hey.
Ooh,
Stanley.
R.I.P.
Hey.
The other guy that he also died, but he owned Playboy.
Hugh Hefner. Hugh Hefner.
Yeah, no.
Whatever
Wow,
reference.
American hero right there.
Also, there's this guy. He might become the first trillionaire ever. Jeff
yeah, that's
Boaz. Jeff Bo. I don't know how to say his last name, but he's the guy that owns Amazon.
Yeah.
Okay.
But because
CEO
of
Amazon.
the pandemic, like because yeah.
Amazon selling like crazy.
So he can become the first trillionaire ever.
Here you go.
And you
it
know,
just depends where you go about becoming a trillionaire. Because if Bill Gates comes here, then he's got a couple of trillion
that's true. That's true. That's true.
Oh yeah.
in dollars.
American. Tony Stark. He's pretty famous.
Anderson said Tupac. Tupac.
Tupac.
That's true.
Tupac.
That's true. Tupac.
Tupac. The Pac-Man. Oh, there's
Wow, Hugh Hefner and Stanley in the same breath. I'm leaving.
exactly. Yeah, you see in the same. That's Dylan, guys. That's
Stanley.
Dylan. You
They're
know,
both old and gray.
tell me someone that's famous, like in American culture, that's not like an obvious name, or maybe something interesting.
Michael
Like,
Okay, my
Phelps.
favorite.
yeah.
Yeah, he's kind of a worldwide name
Yeah,
now, though.
he is.
Who?
Michael
Phelps.
Phelps.
Oh,
Michael
yes,
Phelps. The
of
swimmer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
swimmer Olympian. I really love this guy. His name is Mr. Rogers. His name's Fred Rogers. He was a PBS TV star, and he was a Presbyterian minister before that as well. And then he was like, I want to make a TV show that promotes kindness and love and like inclusivity. And
He's
he
dope.
totally shifted TV culture of his time. And
Call me a neighbor. Something a neighbor.
yeah, he's like all about like the neighborhood and
Yeah,
everyone's
yeah,
welcome. And now there's a children's show based off of one of the characters from it,
There's a
Danny
movie also.
Tiger. Yeah, and there's a movie with Tom Hanks.
Mm.
Yeah, he's my favorite, and no one really knows who he is when I talk about him. People are like, "Who's that?" But he's amazing, and I love him.
Mr. Rogers.
Mr. Rogers.
There you go.
Google him. He's amazing. I signed a petition once to make a National Mr. Rogers Day.
Really?
Did not get passed. Yeah, he's like, people don't really know about him, but he's a legend. Yeah, people like that. Everyone knows the movie stars and the Kardashians
Yeah.
and the politicians, but yeah,
And the
my
Biebers.
culture's pretty
yeah.
well known.
Yeah, you know, talking about non-obvious, like famous people from your culture. So I'm really into movies and series, obviously, and I watched the movie. It's actually on Netflix. Again, Netflix. Hello. It's called Sergio, the movie.
Sergio.
Yeah, Sergio.
What is
So it's played by one of the most famous Brazilian actors, which is Wagner Moura. He plays Escobar, Pablo Escobar,
Ah,
on
that
the
guy.
Narcos
Yeah, yeah,
series. Yeah, that actor. So he plays this guy Sergio. So it's a real story. So Sergio was he was the second guy on the UN back in the day, like in the 80s and 90s, and he was the front man of UN. So like when they had wars in the country, civil wars, and then the country was restarting, like it happened in Timor. So the country was restarting. So UN sent him and his team to rewrite the constitution and everything, like a really big deal. And he was from it, and he's like his story is not popular in Brazil. I mean, people I didn't know about him, like And in the movie, they kind of tell his story and what he stood for and everything, like in the countries. Not that everything that he did was right or whatever. Like, I mean, he's not a criminal or anything, but you can disagree with some stuff that he did. But the guy was pretty influential, And I was actually proud when I watched it. I was like, man, they should speak more about people like this guy, Like, I know Neymar, Pelé, soccer players and whatever, but the job this guy did for the world, it's pretty impressive, and nobody really talks about. So if you want to check that movie, go. It's called Sergio. It's really good. Really, really good movie.
Clarissa has a question for us in the comments.
Yeah.
I don't want to read it, but someone can read it.
Did someone? Sorry,
I don't think so. Why?
Someone fart.
It smells good, yeah.
Did you guys, would you tell the truth? Okay, yeah. Yeah, we can't smell anything here, so we're safe, Clarissa. Thank you very much for your contribution.
Any other famous people that we missed?
He's not world famous, but I want to give a shout out to Skalk Poseidon.
Yes,
Who's that?
yes,
I've been
Skalky.
watching your whole lockdown Instagram stories or what's it? Instagram
Yeah,
lives.
just-
Every
Hello,
day
man,
while I eat my breakfast. Oh,
Hello,
okay.
man, sir.
Hello, man. So it's Skalk Poseidon. Yes.
Yeah, we did. We had some pre-discussions last time, but I think it will be really cool if we go into that one, which is growing up. How was school life within your culture? I'm saying that because mostly, like I think in every country, you go to a school that's closer to your neighborhood, or so it's kind of the school. It's directly connected to your culture. So most people that go to your school, they kind of represent one culture. I know that's not maybe 100% reality in South Africa because it's so diverse. But still, so how was school life for you, and how does your culture kind of fit in this whole picture?
I have a question for the American girl.
Oh gosh.
There you go.
So we watch movies, right?
Yes.
Where you
Yes.
have,
Yes, we do.
like, we have in the school, in high school, the sports kids and the super rich girls and
all the clicks.
yeah, all the cliques. Is that true? Does that really work like that in the United States?
Maybe at some schools, no school I went to. There's cliques, sure, but they're not like, oh, all the sports people stay together, all the band geeks stay together. At my first high school I went to, the band kids ruled the school. We were like, I wasn't a band kid, but I was friends with them, and they were really cool. And the theater geeks, like, we were pretty cool. And the sports, we were all equal. But there definitely is cliques. There's definitely
There's
like bullying and
Is
all
there
of
like a
that is real.
hierarchy system, like those at the bottom and those on top?
That I don't know. I think it will change with every school.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, some kids are definitely cooler than others. You have the outcasts. You have like the weird kids that no one wants to talk to.
Yeah.
But that was like people that
Yeah.
I was talking to. I was really
You have the
social, so I
goths.
talked to everybody. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And the guys, like the weird ones, are they really sitting by themselves on the table?
Sometimes. I know, it's really sad. Yeah.
Well, we had a smoking section in our high school.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
And
Really?
like during
But
break.
but official, not non-official. right?
Non-official, but because it's a tradition that's been on for years, everyone knows that's where everyone is smoking. And like the prefix would come and the teachers would come, then you just like hide, and when they go, you just continue smoking. But everyone just, there was a smoking section in the mornings. That's where I'll be. In the afternoons, like in the first break, second break, no? And like how it works in South African school, or at least my school, like it's 2 rand a cigarette. So there's one guy, or there's a few people that sell cigarettes. So you can get your like if you have a 2 rand, it's not difficult to like, we say scaro, like hustle, or like
Put together.
just ask by people like, my bro, do you have a 1 rand? Get a 1 rand. Go to someone else, my bro, do you have a 1 rand? Away. Then you have a 2 rand. Then you break. Then you buy your cigarette. smoke your cigarette, and like, or you have to ask someone to like keep a scape for you. So it's like, just
Give
hold me.
one little piece.
I don't know how to translate this, but that was like your school was a series.
So
you know,
how
but,
long is the break, like the main break in
do
South
you know?
Africa school?
Our school, the long one was 20 minutes,
20.
and then the short one's 10. Yeah.
Okay.
But he say our school in South Africa, right?
Yes, in South
Yes.
Africa.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mine, when I went to high school, I think grade 8 and 9, it was like we had a half-hour break and then like a 10-minute break. But then they changed it to I think like a 20-minute and a 15-minute something. But it was
Half
like,
an hour would be pretty cool.
That was really nice.
Yeah.
It was really nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd say like 15 to 20 minutes, 2 breaks a day.
Are you more active in the first break or the second break?
You mean like
Like, because for me, my first break, I would like play soccer or like.
Oh,
you
like
know,
that.
Yeah, and then second break, I just like.
I think for me, both breaks, I was like the same active level, but after that second break, my day ends.
Yeah.
I have like 2 periods left after that, but no, I sleep the whole class.
Okay, I have a question for
Yes.
for the South Africans. Okay, maybe Sam included because
Yeah.
he also went to school here. So, was the school that you guys went mixed up? Did you have different cultures represented in that school, or were mostly your culture? Maybe Kabelu can start, and we go around.
I had an experience of both, actually.
Okay.
Starting up my primary years, I was in my township school, and it was just us. That's where you have Zulu and Sotho predominantly. And then I grew up, and then the only white teacher in my school noticed my behavior and was like, hey, don't you want to go to a better school? And I said, yes. Following day, she gave me application forms, and then, boom, next year I was in a school that was now multiracial. And the higher the grade, the less white people. The lower the grade, the more white people. So it was the older ones that were transitioning out to
Okay.
go maybe to other schools and things like that. But when they start out in primary, then we had a very huge pool of variety there. And then we would have, this is a school in Free State, but we actually even had learners that came from Western Cape because it was also a, sort of like a residential school.
Yeah.
So they would stay there for the duration of the school term and then come home during school holidays and everything. So I had a bit of different cultures to interact with. And mostly what he mentioned about smoking and everything, we had those sections. And to us, it was actually more like one group of people. You see from America, there's like different cliques.
Yeah.
To us, it was very simple:
Yeah.
poor and rich. And then the rich, they're the ones that do also the smoking.
That's the
and
line.
everything. It was fairly simple like that.
Yeah, I see one thing that I see similar in South Africa than I see in the American movies. It's that here some kids they go to school driving their own car, like high school kids.
but all my
they
friends
drive
had
their
cars.
bakkies or the
All my
nice
friends had cars.
motorbike. and-
I walked to school. I had to wake up 6 o'clock and walk to school.
In Brazil, that doesn't happen because we cannot get our license with 16. I mean,
Yeah.
it was before. I'm not sure. I stay under correction here. Brazilians can correct me, but I don't think we can anymore. Like get license like at 16, like
I mean,
learners.
here not, but these kids just come to school with cars.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they
they-
have like I've seen like this whole bunch of high school kids in like a very cool BMW
no,
going to
yes,
school. I was like, I would
yes.
kill it
And you
if
know,
I would go
dude,
to
this is
school in
the-
a BMW.
This is what I'm telling you. High school in South Africa is a whole series. Like my friends, when you get to grade 11, okay, like grade 11, grade 10, you start driving the car. Then like you start getting your own car and people get the Golfs, you know, like the
Yeah.
city Golfs, you know what I'm talking about. But then like if you're blessed, then you get like the BMWs. But I like once my friend Sean Nolan like pulled up with a BMW on a Friday, and like just automatically because there's a BMW, we just decided we're just gonna bunk. We bunk in the car. So for those that don't know what bunking is, like you don't go to class.
It's like skipping class.
So I would
what we
like
call
skip
skipping
class, like I'd skip like 4 classes. Don't go to it, like, and like, so this is why, okay, like, school was like prison break, it was everything, like, cause it's like, if you go to the first period, which is like, that's your main class, that's your class that you come through, like, from grade 8, grade 9, like, I don't know
Yeah.
if it's
Like
the same.
admin class.
Your admin class.
Yeah.
Then they know you at school. So then if you bunk after you've been to admin class, everyone's gonna know you on the school
It's the
premises.
same with us.
But
yeah.
you
We
like
didn't have admin class though.
you needed to not show up for admin class, show up for other lessons, and then bunk other lessons. And they're like, yo, bruh,
Oh,
like
this guy has this key.
Your school was it mostly colored, or do you have white
No,
kids?
dude.
They'll say
I'm-
that it was colored and white.
I'm so blessed because like okay, it was a trip because I went to a white Afrikaans high school.
Really?
Yeah, so like I went to a boer
In Kills River.
in Kuils River, in Kaila, you know, but like, so the history of the school is like white Afrikaans, like very like, we had like a whole school anthem that is Afrikaans, and all our teachers were like Afrikaans, but like it was cool because I played hockey,
Yeah.
you know, and I made a lot of like Afrikaans white friends, so there was never that animosity, but there was like, for some people that were raised in those households, there was animosity, and you would see the division during break. Like you see like the colored people on one side, and then like all the white people on the other side, and we call that the Milky Lane. Like, that's all. But then like in the smoker section, it was white and Afrikaans.
So that's the point that I wanted to reach, and then we go
Yeah.
to burger.
Yeah.
So, like, let's say we have the break, like the longer break, and then so we do have, like you said, we had the smoking session, but also we have like, so the color guys would hang mostly with the color guys, and then the white guys would hang mostly,
Yeah.
like, I mean, in the schools that are
Yeah.
more diverse, right?
Yeah.
Like the one that you went here,
Yes,
right?
yeah,
Like-
identical. We went to very similar schools. Like our biggest competition were as well against
Yeah,
each
we
other.
were our biggest rivals. You were our
Yeah.
biggest
Oh,
rivals.
really?
Yeah.
Kills River.
The
Yeah,
Kailen,
and
the
with-
Kailen,
yeah.
Hoërskool the Kailen
Worcester
versus
Gym.
Schools,
Woestergem. So our inter schools will always be against them. So like,
One year we go to them.
Yeah,
one year
one
they
year-
come to us.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
so like that's how I knew some of the people, because like our biggest competition was.
You know, one thing, Liz, that I also experience here, I'm always giving this intakes here, but it's really cool. Like, also as a foreigner coming here, when I first went here to Worcester Gym to watch the derby, the
Drozde.
rugby derby.
Yeah.
Yes.
Worcester Gym and Drozde. Dude,
You felt it, no?
dude, I had goosebumps, like,
It's
just
cult,
watching
That's
it.
something special. Yeah.
Like, it was crazy, you know,
Yeah.
like all the crowd and the guys and singing
And the
their
sing
songs
songs,
and
the
stuff.
sing
I felt like I
song.
was in a movie.
Yeah.
I was like, dude, I've seen this only on TV. In Brazil, we don't have that. It's like we start playing and then people gather around and then we fight. Everybody goes in and then we're like, oh, your mom, this and that. And there's no that. It's not organized, you know. So rivalry in Brazil, it's like someone comes with a gun and ta ta ta, and then everybody runs and that's it. But here, I was like, what? And then I was mostly impressed. I mean, Worcester, you gotta understand that Worcester is mostly an Afrikaner
Yeah.
town
Yeah.
type of thing. But when I saw all those dads around the field and their kids are
Shouting for
playing,
the Suns. How did
Hoi,
dude,
hoi. you know, like,
Come on, man. Kom, Ruf. Wat is hij nog?
and I
There's
remember
like a
our
lot of
Sam,
swear words
Yeah,
that I won't mention on the live.
our Sam was the medical. And Sam would run like 40 kilometers the whole game around, like going around in those
Sam,
guys.
you were the
and have
medical.
I
dislocated
was first aid,
shoulder.
man.
No, that's
Some
dope.
good memories
I
there,
respect
bro.
you, because first aid helped out a lot. But I remember we'd watch like the games and people be concussed, bro. And like rugby players, they just had like this concussion. They would just walk around. But the best day of sports day, people know in the comments, the best day of sports day was that potatoes.
Oh,
potato
yeah.
on a
Oh,
stick.
the spirals.
Those spiral
Yeah,
potatoes.
Yeah.
If you're in high school, you know what we're talking
We had
about.
So, Burger,
Look at this.
what was the setup in your school? Yes, sorry.
Oh, it's just that they were saying when Dylan skipped class, they would think I am with him. And then I would end up getting detention points.
Oh, no.
Okay.
Younger brother.
That was okay, because Dale looks a lot like me, right?
Yeah.
So, and we'd have like, how it works in school is different teachers teach different subjects. So some teachers would teach him and teach me. So like sometimes they would think that I'm Dale and that he's me, and they would be so confused. And like our principal, like he would always, Mr. Brooks, his name was Malet. He was Malet. Meneer Brooks. Jou bloody snotkop. I don't know what does that mean. Like,
Snothead. Yeah.
yeah, like a
freaking
snothead.
snothead. Like you'd always see me One day, so when like at the end of your school, like you have to get your reports to see if you passed the grade or not. And one day, I had to fetch it from him. And I was like, oh my gosh, what does this mean?
Fail.
And he gave it to me and he's like, almost. I was like, yo.
So, Burger, your school, did you have,
Yeah.
was it more mixed up or was mostly white? How was it?
My school was mostly white Afrikaans, mostly because it was an agricultural school.
Yeah.
But yeah, mostly white Afrikaans. And even like we did have like brown kids and black kids there, but their first language was also Afrikaans. So I think that like also kind of unified us more.
Yeah.
Because everyone's main language was Afrikaans.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I'd say like 90% white Afrikaans.
So you guys have English as one subject,
Yes, as a subject.
but mainly Afrikaans, right?
Yeah, the thing is like when I came to YWAM, I understood English completely because like all of our entertainment, like music, movies, everything is in English.
Obviously, yeah.
But I couldn't speak English. Like it was weird. You can
I
ask like
remember,
Liz
yeah.
and Dylan, even Sam. Yeah, like my English was weird. I could speak sentences, but most words I just like kind of like dabbled around. You know.
Dabbled.
Switch to Afrikaans.
I remember at
Switch to
Trevor Noah, he
Afrikaans.
talks a lot about that, right? His Afrikaner friends. It's talking to him, and then when they really want to go deep into feelings, they go like, "Can I speak Afrikaans, please, man?"
Yes, yes, that's so.
It just carries the emotion over so
That's
much
the
better, you
thing.
know.
I really love Afrikaans.
And I traveled with a whole bunch of Afrikaners, like farmers, you
Oh,
know?
yeah?
And it was like that when we had our like debriefing meetings.
Yeah.
Then they would, cause we had a YWAM team with
Oh,
the
okay.
Buddha, you know.
Yeah.
So they were amazed that we could preach and dance and do drama and do stuff, you know, and love the people. They were blessed.
Yeah.
And then they wanted to express their gratitude to us. So they would start in English and they go like, "I'll speak Afrikaans." They translate for you. And then they go like, "Passion." And
That's
then
when they get cute, bro.
So true.
you
It's
know,
real- it's a
it's so
thing.
cool.
Guys, look at Madeira. She said that she wasn't able to bank classes because her mom was the teacher in the
Yo,
same
tough.
Oh, Madiro.
Sorry,
Okay,
Madeira.
but the
Mafia.
worst.
Mafia.
Go
For
it.
me, bunking classes was really difficult because I was in hostel. So like even if you skip all of the school classes, you need to go back and eat tonight, and then the teachers see you, and then like where have you been? So
Sam,
you had to be like really sneaky. It was a whole day commitment. First,
did
you
you
bunk
bunk?
school, you go to the river because our school like bordered the river. Go to the river the whole day. Then you sneak back for lunch because you're hungry. You go get your lunch. Then you must skip the studies, and you must get people to convince the teachers that you're not there or you were like went to work somewhere. Then you sneak back for like dinner, and then at the night you must also like skip your studies, but you must be inside of the hostel because they lock the doors.
Yeah.
That's
So
a whole
then-
entire day?
So then you like hide under your bed or like on the toilet for like 2 hours. It's a commitment, but it
Oh
worked.
my gosh.
No,
that's
because
a lot.
his school was the full-time one.
Yeah,
Because
Yeah.
they're from
Boarding
farms,
school, yeah.
farm
But then,
areas. So
so
it's
do
like,
you study like the
Yeah,
entire
boarding
day? You have classes at night?
No, it wasn't school, it was hostel. So like you have study time is like
they live there. in the
forced
school.
time where you do your homework because otherwise you don't do it.
I
Yeah.
see.
Jen, someone Lorena is asking on the comments here if the high schools in the U.S. are like High School Musical.
Yeah,
like
that's
we're
exactly
all
what
in
it
this
is.
together.
We
I don't
just
know how to sing that.
We just sing all day, and we have complete unity amongst all the cliques by the end.
Can you explain prom and like homecoming?
Ah, yes.
Okay, yeah, let's go there.
Because we
I-
also have something called prom, but I want to hear from you like that.
Okay, listen.
I watch prom a lot in Stranger Things.
I haven't seen that either. Okay, I must like precede this by saying that I actually dropped out of high school. I didn't finish. I never went to my prom.
Tough.
I went to my friend's prom at his school. But prom is like a big deal, dude.
Yeah,
It's you get so dressed up.
Matric
and
ball.
a lot of schools it's restricted for only grade 11 and grade 12. And then maybe grade 10 if you get invited by upperclassmen,
Oh.
which is like
tough.
a grade
So you're
11.
like a nothing.
For us, it's only grade
Oh,
12.
invitations.
Oh,
on.
is it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So we have, grade 10 can go if you're invited by 11 and 12, but then grade 11 and 12 can go just on their
And
own.
you like must have a prom date and
Oh,
like,
yeah, you rent a limo, you get like
Yeah.
the flower thing on your wrist, like corsage.
Corsage.
You have like a pre-prom dinner date kind of thing, like you go out as
Oh.
a group. People show up
Oh.
smashed to prom, like
I-
hiding
that
in
was me.
flasks.
I was smashed,
I
but we
showed
didn't
up
have
like
dinner.
looking like hella fine in a suit alone, super high. And like
yeah.
my friends took me and like they dropped me and it was like this music was booming, like bass, and like it's like a walkway, like almost like a red carpet when you get out, and I can't forget that. It's the most coolest moment of my life. I was just like walking, but I was so high.
Oh my gosh, of course you were.
Bad.
Yeah, the prom I went to was kind of lame because I went with my friend. I didn't know anyone. It was super awkward because he kept wanting to dance and I didn't because I didn't like him. Sorry, Taylor, if you ever see this, you're great.
Taylor, I'm sorry.
But yeah, it's a really big deal. And the whole cliche of like getting knocked up at prom is a thing.
Is it?
Yeah, I know people who've gotten knocked up at prom.
Tough.
Yeah, it's a big deal. And homecoming is the same, but just less formal. You wear short dresses.
Okay,
So
40 days.
homecoming is when?
40 days. That,
Homecoming
I think,
is in conjunction with it's at the same time as the big homecoming football game, which is at the end of football season.
40 days.
40 days.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yo.
Yeah, I don't
It's
know how
like
to
the
describe
equivalent. It's the equivalent of
Oh,
like
so that's your version
So we
of
actually have
homecoming.
everything.
we
that-
have everything you have.
We just have
but
different names.
If
different
So-
anything, we
Yeah.
probably have more because we have like Valentine's balls and
We have
and
that- we have
Costco
that,
balls
and
Yeah.
sockies
And
throughout the
sockies,
whole
yeah.
year.
We don't do that. The
So-
big thing is like prom and homecoming.
So if the Spider-Man movie would be written in South Africa, it would be called Spider-Man 40 Days.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Spider-Man Matric Ball. Spider-Man
Matric Ball.
40 days.
Spider-Man MX.
Sam, did you go to a Matric Ball? You went to two.
I went to two. Yeah, I went to my
Dope.
matric ball.
I have pictures of Sam's
Yeah.
matric
It
ball.
He
was-
was
we-
so
sharp.
fly.
We
I was
had
the
a little party
photographer.
here.
I was the photographer.
Oh,
Junior,
really?
Junior was one of the photographers. We had a nice car. And
You know,
everything.
you know who went with him to prom? Sinead
Sinead.
the cow.
Sinead.
Oh, really?
Guys,
Ay.
Brian is saying that homecoming was the best. What? I
Ah.
don't think he ever went to homecoming.
Homecoming was lame.
Oh, Brian was homecoming king. Definitely.
Oh yeah, wasn't he?
Brian, I support you.
Was
even though
Brian
this
the most
doesn't.
popular kid in his school?
Hi, Sharon.
Oh my gosh, Sharon was
Sharon is here.
the head girl.
Yo.
Sharon was head
Because
girl.
she was homeschooled.
She was homeschooled.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Hey, I was head boy in my school, my primary school.
Were you
so
head boy?
I was in my primary school.
In
Yo.
primary school?
Yeah.
So your
Hey,
name is
okay.
on that
It's
wall
on the
there?
board, yeah. If you go in Lana House.
Oh,
you'll find it.
Sammy.
Yeah.
Well
Okay.
done, Sam.
Famous.
Well done, Sam.
I was like, it's me? Okay.
But
They
you
give it
know-
to you at the end of the year. Makes no sense.
Oh, really?
So,
Yeah, that's true. They
they're
put
like,
it
"You
on like
graduated,"
2
and
weeks
they're like,
before
well
you
done, you
leave.
head boy.
Yo.
Okay, cool.
Thank you.
Were you
I don't
ever
have
in the
that where I'm
principal's office?
No, I was a good kid.
Yeah, dude.
I had response.
I was-
Daniel and
I
I in
was
high school,
many times.
we.
Who else was in the?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, have you
Ooh,
been?
tell us.
I've been to the principal's office
Why'd you do?
twice. Oh my gosh. Okay, the first time I was in grade 4. I was in the principal's office because I got caught with a porn magazine in school. Yeah.
Yeah.
What'd
was
they
a
do?
bad
What was your
move.
punishment?
That's the thing. The principal didn't even punish me. He
I
just
bet
said, don't
the-
do it again.
I bet the principal confiscated the magazine.
It was the teacher who confiscated the magazine, then sent me to the office. But
kept
actually,
it.
the teacher was a lady teacher. So she was pretty
Probably
much
sold it.
more disgusted than horrified and angry and everything, you know. The second time, it was now when I was in high school. And it was basically not for a huge crime. It was just for not
Huge crime.
consecutively not doing my homework. You know when you don't do your homework and then
Yeah.
you've been told and then, yeah. And then my teacher's like, dude, I've heard it with you. Go to the principal's office. Mind you, now for high school, I'm out of town because I started in a township school, my hometown where I could walk. But now I stay in a different town. And now for me to travel back and forward, I'm actually being transported by the principal. So this is going to be a weird ride home because now I'm sent to the principal's office and he's my same ride going home after
Yeah.
school. Yeah, that is what I had to deal with.
My high school experience was crazy because I wasn't the wisest kid when I was a teenager, a high schooler. So I had anger issues. I had discipline issues. I mean, like discipline in the sense of applying myself into studies. I wanted more like to hang and to be with my friends. So I failed 1 year. Like I had to repeat. In Brazil, that's a thing. So I had to repeat 1 year. That was actually my downfall. Was like the place when I woke up was when I failed, because all my friends went to the next
that's
grade,
what hits a lot
and
of
I
people,
went back,
yeah.
and I hated the guys in the grade before me,
Oh,
and I
yeah.
had to spend a whole year with them.
Yo, that sucks.
So it was
Yo.
crazy. So, but I had like lots of crazy experiences in school, because I went to a high school, like a public high school, and in Brazil, public high schools, the grades are low. Like, you know, it's not.
Yeah.
You go to them, so it's like you're probably not gonna compete to the best colleges and
Yeah.
all of that. Anyway, so I went to one, and it was like a mess. You know, it wasn't like in the poorest neighborhood, but it was dangerous, and it was. So we had all sort of things happening in the school all the time. And one funny story was that I had a geography teacher. He was a guy, like very cool guy. I really liked him. And at one stage, I think that was my grade. It would be equivalent to a grade 11, maybe in South Africa. So I had a sinus crisis, like really bad ones. And one day I was really heavy. Like it was so bad that I would faint, like sometimes, like it was because of the pain and stuff. So one day I was in his class, and I really liked geography for some reason. Like everything that had nothing to do with math, I liked it. So I was in his class, and I had this crisis, and I went down, like I just laid on the table, and then I was like really in pain. And that teacher that I really liked, like I trust him a lot, he actually reported me to the principal, and they had my mom called to the school because he told them that I was on drugs.
Oh.
He said like Junior is, it's like a couple of days he's being high on class, so he doesn't concentrate, he's just tripping, like in this really, like, and then they called my mom to school, so my mom came. That was like,
Yo, when
my
your mom
mom-
go to school,
Yeah,
That's
she
the
was
worst
like-
when they call your parents in.
but my mom got so mad at the school.
Yeah.
But it
the
was like-
flower woman.
Yes.
The
The
flower
mothers
woman.
always get so mad at the
So
school.
remember I mentioned I had anger
Juno,
issues.
She's a flower. She wouldn't be mad. She's the kindest.
Yes, guys. I hope you never see that flower, wild flower.
Parents, like once my mother came to the principal's office, and like she knew I was wrong, but she defended me all the way, bro. Dude, I once I once went to the principal's office because they also did like random drug tests in our school.
Seriously?
Yeah, like just random. And like the Monday I smoked weed, and they tested all my friends, but they didn't test me, and I was like, yes.
That's
And like during, like in the break, while I'm like, like they didn't test me Tuesday. They call like everyone like in the class, Dylan Brooks. Yeah, like
Over the
over the
intercom.
loudspeaker.
and then, yeah,
You know, over the
P-
That's
intercom.
the worst.
Have you guys been involved in a fight at school?
Yes.
Fight, like you
Okay, Dale
yourself
can.
fighting?
I don't know Dale. if
Hey,
you
read
can-
what Dale say here.
What did Dale say?
They said I went to the principal's office because, and he offered me 100 rand to spy, to see who was selling cigarettes, but he didn't know I was the one that was selling cigarettes.
Oh Lord.
And I love that you guys,
Your
both
mom.
of you- your mom is on this, and both of you boys keep like ratting yourselves out and saying,
Yeah,
"Oh,
you
No,
guys-
my
I
mother
love this.
knows, bro.
she knows."
Once
So-
I was in a fight once.
Yeah?
But it wasn't. This is a trippy thing. Because you know, always when you fight with somebody.
That's like a school-wide.
Yes. No, not a
Like,
school-wide
fight?
fight. This was like inside my school.
Okay.
But.
But I mean, every other class knew.
Yes.
Every other
Oh,
grade
yes.
knew?
Oh, no. The whole. It was like after school. Like it was literally like in the movies. Like after school, we're gonna fight. I
I'll
was
get
like-
you outside.
And I was like I was like the one that's the underdog, right?
Oh yeah.
And I remember like thinking to myself, and this guy wanted to fight with me because my friend made fun of his sister. So this is Pang. I don't know if you remember. I fought with Pang Tariq, and he was like this gangster background. And I remember like, you know what? And it was like a Rocky moment. I was like, I'm gonna take all the punches. I'm gonna take it, but I'm gonna land one punch that's gonna get him. That's gonna get him. And that's exactly what happened. Like, we started fighting. Like, it was a moment for me. It was like a movie, like slow walk, and then slow walk becomes like little jog, and then it's like run, full of run, and it was like impact, da 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 da. And then I was surprised at myself, but all my fighting experience came from movies. It didn't come from I actually was in a fight. It's just like I'm just looking what I saw. I'm just doing what I saw on the screen. And then like he got me like nice on the cheek. And as they were pulling me away, I was like, this is my last. I punched him like my last. And I just remember everyone like, whoa. And then I fell over and like, what you call it, prefix, and everyone pulls apart. Go to the office. And that's like, me and my guy became friends afterwards. Like that's usually the thing.
Oh, you always
usually when
friends.
you fight, you become
It's not
friends
like
afterwards.
enemies for life.
Because
right?
you don't
Yeah.
want to get into trouble. So I was
Yeah.
like, okay, who eat first? And then like we sorted it out before we got in the principal's office. Did you eat first? I ate first. And then it was like always like Vegeta and like Goku relationship. You know, like we like loud, like not loud. Yeah, we respected each other mutually,
Yeah.
but it was like, you know, so.
Like I mentioned, like because of anger issues, I had many fights, like school-wide fights, which I would get involved because I got angry, and I wouldn't measure the guys that I would fight against.
Oh,
so
gosh.
most of the times I would get beaten like really bad, but I was so angry that I was like, I don't care. I'm going and I'm gonna beat the guy, and then I get beaten. So I was like until I made friends with the gangsters.
Yeah.
Then
That's a
everything
wise
changed
choice.
for me. That was the
Yeah.
best time for me
Yeah.
at school. I was totally safe.
Yeah.
They were my best friends, so it was like, and this is like actually an epic story in my home, was that my sister is a police officer. So she's older than me. So at some stage, I made friends with these guys that were into gangs, and they were like seen as bad guys at school. So I made friends with them. So to trade stuff with them, I used to go to my sister's stuff, and I would steal bullets, like
You,
bullets?
Junior.
and then I would trade with the gang guys for protection.
Dude, that next level.
Oh my
That's
God.
next
That's next level. Respect.
And then they would give me gifts. So I would come home with a new watch or something, and then my mom was like, "Who's that?" I was like, "No, someone gave me." Return that. Return it. She never let me keep anything, but I was protected. So my last
That's tough, bro.
2 years, like I was protected. Nobody messed with him anymore.
my-
I mean, I wasn't provoking,
Yeah.
but I was
But you were that-
fight free
Yeah.
because they knew no he's
You
buddies
literally
with-
fueled your protection, though.
Yeah, that's dope.
It worked out for me
You gave them
perfectly
the bullets
because
to
my
go.
school was dangerous. So I was
Guys,
like,
Brian is saying here the first rule of Fight Club is you do not talk about Fight Club.
That is
a
the
good
rule. That is the
Lorena
rule.
is saying something here that I want to repeat
yeah.
her question to you guys.
It's about
Mr.
your kids.
Pians.
Yeah, that's a good fact. It actually will help me. I think Matt answered a little bit
Yeah, he
on his
did.
comments, but she's saying that like our kids, they see the principal of they go to primary school, so they see the principal as like a demigod.
Yeah,
like,
that's so true.
like
Yes.
you know, Luca, one day he came in and then we were like, how was school, Luca? Oh, it was cool, everything. But you know what? I saw Mr. Beans today. I was like, all right. And he's like, yeah, I saw him passing. And I was like, Luca, so what's the deal? It's Mr. Beans. He's the school principal. It's like, you know?
The celebrity.
Yeah, it's so crazy. Was that like that for you guys when you were like kids,
Dude,
like
no,
primary
dude.
school? No?
In primary school, no one really respected he was a myth. He was more of like a mythical creature than like a demigod. Like we had this principal, Mr. I can't even remember his name. Mommy, if you can help me. But he was English. He was a white English English man, and he would always correct my English. Like he would always say, "You don't say yes, you say yes, yes." Like that's one thing I remember from my primary school principal. He'd always say, "You always say yes," and then that just got stuck into my mind, and that's why pronunciation of words for me is a big thing because South African English is British English. It's not like American English. But you know when you get to high school, you and the principal's never friends. Like that's when
Yeah.
That is true.
that's when you're shaking hands with that's when you buy over to the system. You know, that's like when you become like a pawn of the system.
That's
you know?
what Matt commented here that I think it's really cool. He said, yeah, for us, because Sam and Matt,
Yeah.
they went to the same primary school that my kids go. So he said, yeah, when we were in primary school, the principal was for us like Moses, like he would guide us. So we, like Luca was pretty excited one day because he said hi to him. He was like, he said hi to me like Moses, like something really like. And then Matt says, so but when we went to high school, the principal becomes like dictator.
He was like the man.
Yeah.
Bro, the principal was
Changes
the
you.
man. You don't shake hands with the man. But you know what is cool about our principal? Also, just like the movies, like if they would use fights, he would just walk onto the scene and everything would stop. Like he would just
Is it
like, yeah, he would
Yeah.
just be like, you would just, and he has this walk. It's like, it's almost like, Denzel Washington walk mixed with, and the guy, no lies, our
Swag.
principal, he looked like Liam Nielsen. And
No way,
he's the
dude.
same height of Liam Nielsen. And so when
I will
Taken came
find you.
out, like
Oh,
if
yeah, yeah.
we
I'll
made memes
punish you.
before memes was a thing, we made
Yeah.
memes of like, I'll find you and I will give you detention or something like that. And like he would just walk onto the scene and everyone would like stop like but fun fact, my friend, a friend of mine, did drop kick him by accident once during the fight. I wish my friends who here, Wasim knows, but like he drop kicked him like out of nowhere once, and it was the funniest thing ever.
Well, fun fact here is that Sam and Danny, they're like school buddies.
Yeah,
Like
that's true.
they met at school and all.
Yeah.
That's
Really?
pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah.
And it
We-
carried out.
Daniel and I have a different view of our principal because Daniel and I, we worked in the sound room, so we were in the system, but we were higher up in the system.
Yeah, you
So,
were like high enough to.
Yeah, we had keys to a bunch of doors.
You were the
in school.
inside, yeah. You
Like,
were the
we could
double
get in and
agent.
out. Yeah, we could leave when we wanted to. So.
Were you were the other kids like different with you because you guys had privileges?
Yeah, we had keys to doors in the school. We had a key that could open a bunch of doors. So yeah, they would. Oh, dude, I need to get this out of class. I need to send this test in now. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, let's just go.
So among the 12 disciples, you guys were like John and Peter and those guys. a bit
somewhat,
closer.
yeah. To the point where like I realized our relationship with the principal became abusive when he started using us to like become snitches, man. It was horrible. We would get into the principal's office and he'd be like, okay, what did you guys see? And like expecting us to answer, and I was like, this is like not gonna end up well.
It's like they
Whatever.
say, snitches get stitches.
Exactly.
That's
Sneakers
right.
get stitches.
So cool.
Once-
All right. Do you have another story?
No, I just wanted to
we
say
move?
like, so we didn't have like fights. Well, we had a lot of fights in school, but more the fights happen like after, like on a Friday when people go to clubs. Like that's when. So they will know. Like they'll put in the comments. They're like, no one. What did you say? I never fought because Dylan was my brother and everyone loved Dylan, so I was protected. And I was like, yeah, it's true. Like love always wins.
Yeah, fights on my school was mostly on Fridays also,
Yeah.
but because on Fridays we go home earlier, so we had time to have a fight. So it's almost like Friday after school, there's a fight going on. We just need to figure out who is fighting, but I'm
We'd
sure there's a
always-
fight.
Clubs, like you always fight at the clubs because people at the clubs were like people from other schools. So those are the people that we like fight. They'd have beef with, like RTS or Settlers or like those are the schools.
School
like
fights, yeah. Oh, I saw a lot of those on the field.
So it's one school fighting against the
yeah,
other one.
even
Yeah.
on like
Oh,
on
okay.
the field, like in the rugby matches was.
And you know what's
insane.
crazy? That's when
Real
all the
rivals.
enemies in your school. That's when we all like bond. Like
Yeah.
that's when we unite because we know we're gonna take them down. We're gonna wait for them. Like
It's like a,
that was.
it's like a gang, man.
Dude, high school was a series. I'm not lying.
You
so,
know,
like,
in Brazil, because we're gonna get to that, but when we talk about sports, but for us in school, that was mostly the fights would be sports related somehow. Like because one class against the other one, because one grade against the other one, because we had the rivalry. Like let's say grade 12 would have 3 classes. So it's grade 12A, 12B,
Yeah,
12C.
yeah,
So in Brazil, the rule is more or less like this. Grade 12A, it's all the smart dudes.
Hey.
And the girls and the nerds. And, they're 12A. 12B is the mild. So I was always a B. It's like, yeah, they're clever, but not so much. And C is all the, it's like, they're going to fail.
Do you know
So
the
the-
same method applies to Japan in some schools in Japan?
Is that so?
And South
Yes.
Africa as well. We do the E's, so we have because we have the two languages, so we have the E's and the A's. So the A's are Afrikaans and the E's are English. So E1 is the smart kids. E2 was us. You know, always second. Sometimes
It's like school segregation.
yeah,
It's
it
that
is
so
school
weird to me.
segregation.
We don't have
It's
this.
so
And
weird.
you didn't have a chance to succeed because you were in E3.
Exactly.
You know, it messed you up.
It's really mean. Fun facts about
Lorena
Brazilian
was
schools.
always on A. I just want to say that.
Of course.
Of course she was.
In Brazil, you get to choose if you want to study in the morning, which is 8 to 1, or if you study in the afternoon, which is 2 to
you
6.
serious?
And
Yes.
evening.
Yes. Oh,
And
yes.
evening
even
for people that
yes.
work.
Even even evening right now. So what happened is that you normally have 4 periods, and then between them you have like half an hour break. So you have a lunch. The cafeteria gives you lunch, not lunch, snack.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like a meal.
It's like rice and beans.
Yeah.
Nice.
sometimes
rice and beans.
sometimes like
That's pretty
pasta
good.
and
That's pretty
and,
filling.
and
As a snack.
yeah.
Exactly. So, and another thing is that in the hallways, because they cannot trust us that much, they have always someone that is gonna look out for the hallways to see if any students are just like going outside to the classrooms to go to the bathroom or do other things. And
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Camilo.
For my primary years, the schooling system, it was kind of very, very different. First and foremost, our school did not have proper facilities like classrooms and everything, but somehow it still wanted to continue as a school. So what actually happened was that we were going to different churches and having our schooling in different churches. And it was actually so beautiful looking back now in how the church actually played a part, you know? And so for us to actually see the principal was also kind of he was like a mythical creature, you know. Usually we would get to see him on the first day of school in January when schools open. Then we are all gathered into the main school where it was actually grade 5, 6, and 7. But grade 1 up to 6, they're in different schools within the location. It can be very far from your home. It can be close to your home depending on which grade you are in. And so that was like the whole experience. And here's the thing. In break time, there would always have to be at least 2 boys that rush to the main school, no matter how far they are from the main school. They need to rush to the same school because we also had a feeding scheme. So they must go there and fetch whatever food is there and then come back with the food before break time is over, and then everybody gets food. We had like about 40 minutes of our break time,
Yo,
the first one.
almost
That's
an hour.
crazy.
You had to run to the
You
school
won't
and fetch
see
the
me
food, so
again.
you need some time for that.
And I was one of the trusted guys, and here's the thing, I was chubby and I would have to run. Man, it wasn't fun. It wasn't fun.
Where are you running, boy? I'm getting food.
Oh, we didn't have breaks like
Okay,
that.
making a you never had breaks?
We
Nothing?
had 5-minute breaks between class periods. Just
And that's
enough
it?
for you to go from one class to the other. You may have 8 classes in a day, and you get one of those time slots is for lunch.
Ooh, I have a question.
So
about,
the
like,
movies are not right.
real quick, going
Well,
around.
there's- Like time between classes, which is what all the stuff in the movies is about, but
Okay.
it's like 5 or 10 minutes.
It's not that long.
Wow.
Like, you don't hang out.
It's long enough to have a fight. It's long enough to make out with your boyfriend
fight,
in front
fight.
of the locker or something that you see in the movies, but not long enough to like go out for a smoke or do anything. You just have to go to your locker, get your books for the next class, and go.
So, question, real quick. Like in your classes, in your school, did you stay in the same class and then the teachers came in and out, or you had to go to different classes?
Who moves? The students or the teachers?
Yes.
In mine, it's the students.
The
You
students.
change
Students
every
as well,
like
right.
40 minutes. I think a class is like half an hour or 40 minutes, and you change. Like it could be anywhere. It could be in another floor. It could be in another building.
Alright.
It could,
Yo.
yeah.
In Brazil, it's the other way around.
Brazil, yeah.
The teachers
The
go
teacher move.
yeah.
Is it? So you're with the same students all day?
in the
Oh my
same
word.
class.
Yes, in the same
Well,
class.
Yeah, 'cause I
Unless
could
we
be
go
with
for
100
sports.
different students throughout the day. Like every class is different. It could be with different grades. It could be with different.
But do you
Yeah.
know who is your class? Like who is your
It's the
classmates?
same every day,
Uh-huh.
but like every term it changes.
Ah, okay.
Like
Oh, it changes per term.
yeah, like a class is once like you have. Our school system starts in August and ends in May, and so or September. Some states are in September, but then you have from August till December is one semester,
Okay.
like one term, and so you have like 8 classes every day, the same in that term,
Sure.
and then at the semester break after Christmas, you have another 8 classes that are the same every day. So
Okay.
you're with the same students for a whole semester,
6
but it
months.
changes. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah, so I think for us here we have a fixed class in the morning. I don't know if your schools had register. So we would be register from grade 8 till grade 9. You have the same class throughout the whole year. But in grade 10 you get to choose your subjects, so you split.
Okay.
But you still have register in the morning, so you are still a class. Yeah.
Lorena said that the American system is not corona friendly.
It's so
Friendly.
true. You see so many
because
people.
yeah, because you move all the
Yeah.
students instead of moving only
Shout
one
out to
teacher.
your mom, Sam.
Makes sense.
Your mom is here.
Yes, welcome.
Welcome to Marisa.
Oh wow.
Hey.
We have like we can pick our classes.
My mom with emojis.
Can you guys pick your classes?
From grade 10, yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
10th grade. Yeah.
No, I
Ah.
can't.
What are your like? What kind of options do you have? Is it just like English, math, whatever, science, maybe an art
It differs
class?
from schools.
Okay.
So like my school, because we were agriculture, had like specific agricultural subjects.
Oh.
But we had like science, biology, accounting,
Okay.
the subjects I had.
Yeah.
And like tourism, history. No, we actually didn't have history.
Oh.
Like one of them where you make food that you do if you don't
Hospitality,
wanna actually
yeah.
have a
So
hospitality.
cool.
That's
We don't have that in Brazil at all. Like at all.
We don't have that in Brazil. We have like the basics. We have Portuguese, math, we have science, biology, physics,
Chemistry.
chemistry, and the one that you do sports.
Yeah.
PE.
PE.
Yeah, that one.
And
That's it,
and yeah, and then yeah, you said it all.
Sociology.
We had sociology sometimes, and also religions. Religion.
Yes. Oh, and
Religious
Spanish.
teaching.
Sometimes Spanish or
Spanish.
English.
Yeah, you can choose Spanish or
Or
English.
German. if
So
you're from
you
the
never
south.
learn anything from any language because it's really poor. Do you guys know that once we had someone coming to do ELS here, and was an English teacher of a public school in Brazil,
No way.
and when the person came here and did the test before ELS, he got to level 2.
That's crazy.
Yeah, yeah. So it's really
And
it's
there's
really
also
fact.
another guy here
It's
now.
not like I'm
yeah.
not making fun,
Wow.
but it's like we don't really learn because even the teachers like I don't know, maybe today changed, but at my time the English teachers, they couldn't speak
Yeah.
English.
Dude, it
Private
was the
English
verb
teachers,
to
yeah.
be the entire 3 years of my life.
And
We
we
learned
never
that.
get it, right? We never get it. You're
And
like,
every Brazilian knows the book is on the table. That's, I don't know why, but this is a famous
cultural.
The book is on the
The book is on the table.
Okay, so let's maybe shift gears, as my friend
Let's do
Arno
it.
Pinar says.
I know.
I wanna ask you guys about music. I wanna ask you about, but we're not gonna go general music because music can be really global, like especially today.
Like specific cultural music.
Yeah. So, what is in specific cultural music that it's represented by us here in your own culture that maybe our viewers would love to hear and would be interesting for them
Funky.
to know?
Funky.
Oh no.
Are you still, man? So
Anita.
we have something called boerenmuziek, which is just farmers' music. I don't actually know if people still listen to that, but it's a thing. Maybe like my grandparents, they listen to that. It's basically no singing, just like instruments, but you have that one where you go like
Accordion.
the
Accordion.
accordion, and kind of like what you see in the movies when the rednecks play like music, like those stuff,
Banjo.
Banjo.
banjo, stuff like that.
Washboard.
The washboard, it's stuff like that. But then besides that, we have socky music.
Yeah.
Yes.
So soca music, there's like diversity in it, but when you hear it, you know it's soca music. There's a certain vibe to it,
Yeah, it's
which I personally am not a
Interesting.
fan of. I don't listen to soca music. Anyway, soca music, usually a love song. It must involve something with love, either a heartbreak or you found a new love. Mountains is a big topic in soca music. Mountains must be
Superheroes.
mentioned. Superheroes must be mentioned. And
We-
soca
we-
music can be listened to on the daily basis at like a braai or a gathering, but it's made for the purpose to dance to
Yeah.
when you have like a
In the
soccer
club.
school in clubs.
Yeah. You know that I've been to Saki
Oh, really?
clubs like with Lorena. Yeah, my
Okay. Okay.
Did you dance? Did you
Well,
dance?
I mean, I can't dance Saki, like, I don't have that ability. But it's so cool. Like, we used to go and watch it. Like,
Oh,
when I
really?
came to the ELS here.
Yeah.
So, on
went out.
Fridays, we went out. We went out. Like,
My
we had
God.
no kids.
My God.
So, that was a place here in Worcester. People from Worcester will kill me now that I'm confessing this. So, there was a place here in Worcester called Steps. So it's in the industrial area. You know Steps? You guys know Steps? So Steps. So what happened?
Sam knows
Steps.
Steps.
So we would get to the door, and the guys would like, "Oh, YWAM guys." They knew. I mean,
I don't know.
people
Yeah.
know us here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, we did nothing wrong in there, but so we would go inside and then sit and just watch people dancing Saki dance, and then they go like the couples. They go. So it's huge Africans guys with like small girls, you know, and they dance and they turn around
Do the
and
twirl.
everybody goes around the
And you
room.
do the dip. Yeah, like
So
in
great,
motion
and
like
they
this.
do all these maneuvers like like this, and they, you know, spin, and it's crazy, dude. That was like immersion in the culture. I was like, I'm a step ahead of all the other foreigners here because I'm visiting them in their natural habitat.
Stop. Your wife is saying, shut up.
We got in a little bit of trouble in that time, but I just want to say again, we never did anything wrong. We just observed.
You just
You
went
just
to
observed.
Sophie.
Okay,
just
Juno.
observed.
Juno, that's the second time to say that. Second time.
pretty
You
cool.
say
He's
it
just
one more
clarifying.
time.
Okay,
So you guys have funk.
so Saki
Yes.
is really cool.
We have
like
funk,
it.
and it has a lot to do with like shaking your booty.
So Liz, explain to them that our funky,
Oh yes.
Brazilian funky, has nothing to do with funk, the American rhythm funk.
That's true.
Oh, yeah.
But how
yeah.
can I explain that? I'm not gonna shake my booty.
I have no idea how I have no idea how we got to that, why they use the name, because like funk, it's really rich in melody and
Yeah,
whatever.
that's true.
Our funky, it's mostly
more
the
like
beat,
dry.
the
It's
beat,
like
and it's
Is
like
it-
and it's like a rap.
But wait, did it
Trap.
originate in the favela? Or did it originate
favela.
like?
Favela.
Yeah. So favela is what you'd be like the
It's favela
informal
music.
settlement, like the township. So for us, it would be like house. You know, like
Yeah, yeah,
like,
yeah,
You know, like
yeah.
I think-
our-
I think it-
almost
it-
gomp.
Yeah.
Like what's his name? Black Coffee.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
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 That's how we do
So our funky in Brazil, it's kind of funky and maybe pagode, samba.
samba.
They're mostly like they're from the hood. It's
Yeah.
like it's from the favela.
But
it's like
funky
popular
is
music.
like
It's-
out
Funk-
there,
funk
and
is like,
pagode,
yeah.
samba are like the other
Funk
side.
is
no, but
like-
they play in the same community, like the same favela that
But that they
will have a
style
baile
of, like-
funk. Yeah, of course.
When I was in the favela, like there was just this song that was in my head the whole time, cause like,
Be careful.
but I don't know the lyrics, but it was just like, da, 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 this it, and then Drake made a remix of it. Like, so I found the song. I still listen to it because it's amazing.
You know, there's one that's a very famous funky in Brazil that I've heard it here in South Africa so many times. The one that goes ta ra ta 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 ra ta ta.
Seriously?
It's
That's
originally
from Brazil.
Brazilian. Yeah.
You know what that is?
That was our
We
school
bought it.
anthem as well. Yeah.
Do you know? Do you know what that sound is? Ta ra ta ta ta. That's the gunshot. That's the AKs. That was written. That song, the original song,
Yeah.
it's written in the favela, and it's talking about the trafficking, the drug dealers,
We had no
and the
idea.
sound that they make to scare the police when the police is coming up into the favela.
We had no idea.
We just jive to that.
Exactly,
Yeah.
I know. Because
We have like
There is a song like that. I thought, okay, it's not cop song.
Yeah, no, we just thought they're making sound. We just went tarata. It was like we got tarata with them.
yeah. So
That's a trip.
somehow it got
maybe
here.
because Liz mentioned, so there's like if we go into like music, cultural music in Brazil, I mean there's like
Yeah, that's a lot.
hundreds of, but the ones that represent us that are here mostly. So Liz is from the north, right?
Yes.
So what would be regional music from the
Okay,
north?
it's what we call the bull Man, how can I say toada?
Sure, I
Yeah,
have no
yeah,
idea.
that's
Okay, it's
They
kind of
should
like
call
the
it toada.
bowl dance. So it's very native from the north. So you have like all those people dressed up with feathers and with not coconuts, but something that it kind of reminds coconuts. I don't know how to. Should I dance?
Do it,
I don't
do
have
it,
to
do
shake
it.
my body, my booty, but it's something like this. It goes like.
It's like a full choreography.
This
Like-
this is a dance teacher.
Yeah, yeah.
It looks better when I have this song. It looks better when I have this song. But yeah, it's different. It's very original, I would say. Of course, because it comes from the natives. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm very proud of that. It's-
Samuel, where were you born?
I was born in Contagem, Minas Gerais.
Do you know what is the original music
I
of
have
Contagem?
no idea.
It's probably very similar to the one where I came from, because my state and your state, where you were born, were like cousins.
I think
So our food is pretty similar,
All right.
and the way we speak is pretty similar, even though the guys from Minas, they say that we speak terrible Portuguese, which I agree. But
sorry guys, that's true.
we're very like, it's close stuff. So mostly it's country music, but Brazilian country music we
true.
call sertanejo.
Sertanejo.
So that
I
it's
love
all
that stuff.
about broken hearts.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's all about the
She
girl that
left me.
cheated on me, and she abandoned me, and
Yo,
I'm broken
yo,
heart,
yo.
I'm destroyed, and all of that.
Dude,
And then
those are the best songs to hear when you have a broken heart. You're kidding me. Those are the you listen and it's just gonna minister you.
No.
I bet God gave them the
Watching
when-
that stuff is so weird, though.
We have nothing
No.
of that like in the color culture. We just have baby girl,
when you have
baby girl, and just a remix. We just remix every Justin Bieber song and every Ed Sheeran song. We remix.
so the sertanejo, this country Brazilian country music, it's usually it's a duo that sings it. So it's two guys, and usually they will have names that rhyme with each other. So it's like, even though it's not their real names, so like Christian and Half. That's a duo in Brazil, famous one. And then there's Chitãozinho e Chororó.
Jorge Mateus.
Jorge Mateus. So it's kind of, it goes together. So they say in my state, it's like neighbors, like if the lady's pregnant and the other lady's pregnant, they're like, maybe they can be a duo in the future. Like, they can be singers, you know? Like, so, and it's the melody of the voices, the sound's really cool, but the lyrics is mostly about
Broken heart.
Yeah, broken up heart and
Question:
relationships.
Is Macarena
Suffering.
Portuguese
No, Macarena is Spanish.
or Spanish?
Yeah, it's Spanish. So that's the music from my region, yeah. So, Cabelo, Suto music.
So true.
Soto music.
We have songs for everything. We have songs for funerals, for weddings. We have songs for initiation school, because in my culture, initiation is something that is very big. When you go to the mountains and everything and come back.
Also, you
So-
have that also.
Yes, we
So
have
it's
that.
like the Kosa.
Initiation is a process of becoming a man or becoming a woman for the ladies as well. And so there are songs throughout this entire time. And yeah, it's pretty good. I'm not really sure, but I would think more from your mid-teens, around 15s, you can go to initiation school. And then you come back being a man. Some people misuse the idea behind it, but otherwise it's meant to be a good thing for you to go through that and then come back and live responsibly as a young man and everything like that. Other use it for, hey, you can't tell me anything now, I'm a man, you know. So for us, yeah, that's
Can
it.
I ask a question?
Yeah.
Is it true that like when you go to the bush, you learn like secret stuff there? That
Yes,
you only learn there that you're not allowed to tell people.
you can only speak it amongst the people that have also went.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's
that's
like a name, right? A name
That's
that's
cool.
given to you.
It's almost like
Yeah.
a code and stuff. Or
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
That's dope.
Yeah, so I also don't know that because I didn't go through all of that, but I respect it enough to know that they're not supposed to share it with me, and so I do not push for it. So yeah, there's music for everything. We also have the accordion. Is it a this
Yeah,
instrument.
yeah, yeah.
We use a lot of that, and then we have like we are very big on choir music, like really choir competitions. We're very big on
So
that.
it's a big deal.
Yeah, it's very big, and we sing almost everything. We sing it in different ways. You see, I think you guys might have seen even when this Corona started, there was like the ZCC Church that actually sings about Corona.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So yeah, so we sing about everything and anything. You know, for us, music is
Turn
is
stories
immediate.
into music.
And you know, Trevor Noah, one of the things that he might have taught you is that we also sing and dance when we're angry. The
Yeah.
toi toi, you know. So
To
yeah,
protest.
exactly.
So cool, man.
We got music.
That's
in
very
everything.
unique of South Africa. I mean, Africa, but
Yeah.
in South Africa, it's amazing. And that's something that the world doesn't know about it. I mean, if people don't talk about it, like they don't experience it or
Yeah.
they don't see it, they will be like amazed.
There's
It's
music
like-
through everything
it's
here
so
in South
cool.
Africa.
It's
man.
so cool.
Yeah.
Jen, what is the music from your region? I'm trying to push a little bit because it's 1 hour 30 minutes already, and I still want to talk a little bit about sports.
Okay, cool.
So-
cool, cool,
But we
cool.
still gotta talk about how we handle funerals.
Yeah, so we
Yeah.
have two things that
Yeah.
we want
Yeah.
before we finish.
Okay, I'll be quick. I mean, obviously, you guys know a lot of our music as well.
Yeah,
We've got country music and
but I mean, from your where you
Your state
grew up.
specifically.
Do you listen to bluegrass?
I really like bluegrass.
Yeah, I like it
That's
also.
more from the south.
Yeah, yeah.
My region that I grew up in, we don't have any signature music.
Mm.
We're not like southern. We don't have country music. We don't have jazz, which I also really love, and I think is a super fun staple of American culture is like jazz music. And I mean rap, like the rise of hip hop culture in the States was
That's true.
a huge movement and a
true.
huge
That
like
yeah, that was
building
like big
block
for
of
the
our
world.
culture. Yeah.
Yeah.
But my region specifically doesn't really have any signature music. I'm from the Midwest, which is really Central East America, and we just have like farming and stuff, and beaches.
You know, there's a series that I watched. It's from HBO. It's you know the band Foo Fighters, the Foo
Yeah.
Fighters. Yeah. So they made a series called Sonic Highways. It's actually the name. It's the name of one of their albums.
Their album, yeah.
So in that series, it's like each song of that album, it has 6 tracks. So each song of that album, it's written on the road, on a specific place in America. And then in that episode,
cool.
they write the song and they tell the local story, the local music story, history of that location. So I learned a lot about music in the US, like how the different regions, through that series. Like it taught me a lot. So they, even in the song, they make, in the lyrics, they wrote like mentioning local,
I love that.
references. It's
That's
a
so cool.
really cool series. It's called Sonic Highways. It's really like, it's really good. Even if you're not into Foo Fighters or rock music or whatever,
I mean, the Foo
series
Fighters
is
are
worth it.
great.
Foo Fighters are great. Anyway, let's move into sports.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, so I know not the whole world likes soccer like Brazilians think, but there are so many other sports
Yeah.
out there, and and my mind just like expanded the moment that I went out of my own culture, my own country, to learn and know
Yeah.
about all those sports. I mean, I only knew Brazilian sports and American sports, basically. That was all we were exposed. But when I got here, my mind,
Cricket.
and
You saw
rugby and
cricket
all of
for-
that. So tell me, Dylan, what is
Yeah.
in a colored culture?
Color culture. So, one thing that is true to colored people is that they are really blessed when it comes to sports, physical sports. So that you find a lot of, this is a fun fact, is it Herschel Gibbs? Herschel Gibbs was actually scouted by Manchester United when he was a boy. He's one of our famous cricket players. And I think he went to Rondebosch. Yeah, he went to Rondebosch. And he was one of the cricket players that hit 6 sixes in a row. So I can't explain that in terminology for you guys, but a 6 is when
You hit
it's like
the highest
home run.
score.
Yeah, it's like when you hit like
A home run in
imagine
baseball.
someone hitting like 6 home runs after each other. So that was kind of historic, but that's really cool about like the color culture. You find someone that is good at hockey, but is also good at soccer and also good at rugby. And we sometimes people that's sometimes a difficulty. They don't know what to choose or like to narrow down to. Colored people are good at running. So like,
That's true.
I think because we run away from the police a lot. so like, like you need to or like run away. If you run away from a dog in any neighborhood, you know, if you run away from police, you have to just become fast, you know, like, but like from a young age, we're addicted to like going, like doing races and, you know, like watching there's always, wherever in any community, like colored community, there's always sports happening.
Yeah.
So if it's like, street cricket, not a lot of people know about, but it's so dope, or indoor cricket. So I like grew up playing indoor cricket in high school. I wasn't.
I don't
Action
see.
cricket, yeah.
I don't see much basketball in South Africa. Right?
Nah, we don't-
Doesn't happen a lot.
anything like we follow the culture, like basketball culture, but we're not really like that cool.
Yeah.
You know, like we ain't like we're not. That's for the like African Americans.
Did you guys know that in Angola, basketball is like a huge deal?
Really?
No. I
Their
have no
team,
idea.
their team is amazing.
They got really good players.
Yeah, and so
China also.
they have players in
China?
America and China is
I had
also
no
huge.
idea.
What?
China,
You don't want to
Japan,
know what I'm
Korea.
thinking.
And Ukraine.
I know what I'm thinking.
Hey, Dylan, your mom said you should check your WhatsApp.
Very cool. Kabelo.
Okay, for Sotho people, primarily three that I've been exposed to, like within my setup. Soccer. We can play soccer even in school during break time. We can play soccer after school. We can have competitions. This street versus the other street in the same township. We can do that. It's very beautiful. Running is one of the things that we love, and it's usually because of school. Immediately when schools open in January, we're already looking towards the season where sports is taking place, and it's going to be firstly the school, and then it's going to be the other schools versus other schools, and then we go into district and everything. And then one of the biggest ones that I was exposed to is volleyball. I actually managed to play volleyball because I couldn't play any other physical sports because of a lifetime injury that I sustained from a childhood phase, you know. So then I had to find kind of a sport that is not contact sport, that's safe enough. So then it was volleyball. Then there's netball. Actually, I was fortunate enough that my high school, they actually won in national, and about 3 consecutive years at national level, they were number 1. You know, Mefro Zandberg, shout out to you, best coach ever. And we had a rugby team, but but every time our school leaves and both teams are going to play, we always knew which one is coming with a win, which one is coming with a lose. So yeah, those are the ones that have been. I guess
Question.
It's 4.
I have a question. So can you guys like summarize? Maybe Burger can do that. Summarize the basic difference between netball and basketball.
I think the biggest difference is in netball, you're not allowed to move while you have the ball. You can like turn, like rotate in position, but you're not allowed to move if you have the ball. That's the biggest
You
thing.
can't move your feet.
You can't move your
What about
feet.
dribbling?
Yes.
And
So no
no,
dribbling.
you don't
dribble?
dribble.
No.
Yeah.
So
No.
when you get the
No,
ball,
no.
stop, pause, move, get
It's
the ball, stop.
the best. I think
Okay.
the best way to understand if you're American, you know what ultimate frisbee is like. It's identical to that, except
Okay.
there's no hoop. Yeah,
And there's no backboard.
and there's no
Right?
backboard.
There's
yeah.
no
No, there's
backboard.
just
no
like a-
there's
Yeah.
no
It's just a
I
weird
think
shoot.
the net is a little bit lower than basketball, but
Yeah.
there's no backboard.
It is lower, yeah. And the ball is not the same ball as
Yeah.
basketball, right? It looks a little bit
It-
more like a volleyball type.
Yeah.
And the girls play it, not the.
Oh, so
Yeah,
there's no.
majority girls play netball.
But is there boys netball team?
Not in my school.
Not in my school.
I've never seen boys netball team.
No.
Nationally?
National.
Really?
Oh, I didn't know that.
Fun fact, in my primary school, we didn't have, there's only girls netball, but every year, once a year, the guys would play against the girls netball, and we would always beat them. So
That's not
Shout
a
out
fan
to the
fan.
girls.
just
That's
some some guy love out there.
That's
Did
just
you,
throwing
did you ever
shade.
play?
That's just
Cricket?
throwing shade.
Yeah.
You played cricket.
I play cricket.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did you
Um,
like batting or bowling?
I was more of a bowler.
Okay.
Yeah, I have that That
Yeah,
arm, the
yeah.
Malinga arm. you
Yo,
know,
I have a cricket
that
story.
one.
I got hit in the balls once
Yes.
so hard
Your mom
Sammy.
is watching.
that I
Bring out the
knocked
big
over my
guns.
own wickets and I couldn't move because it was like in so much pain.
You weren't wearing a ball box.
I was wearing a ball box, dude. It bounced. It bounced awkwardly. It bounced. It came up.
Okay, that's the weirdest
Sam,
thing. in
I'm
cricket.
gonna use
You
that
have
one
this-
as a clip.
There's the
Yo.
weirdest thing in cricket where you have this thing and
There's your
it is to
promo.
protect your balls because
Yeah.
a cricket ball is so hard. Like it's so hard, and when it's been bowled at you, oh my gosh, like
This kid
it's-
was like flying, and he was like bragging in the shade. Because when you play cricket, if your team is batting, you have only 2 players on the field. So I was underneath, and I'm hearing about how this kid that's bowling is like a monster. And I'm there. I'm like, oh man, I'm about to get, I was feeling kind of confident. I had all the gear I needed, but it didn't help. It knocked me out. It took all my breath away. Yes.
Bianca said that you guys won because you cheated.
Come
That's
on,
true.
man.
If you actually play netball by the rules, it's actually very hard.
That's true, but
Yeah.
we probably
Maybe
cheated.
we didn't follow the rules the whole time,
That's it.
but
But
the
that's
referee was the
cheating.
referee, and we always gotta listen to the ref. And the ref said we were good.
Jen, talking about the sports, were you ever a cheerleader?
Heck no. Oh, heck
I don't
no.
know why I think Liz would be a
Of
cheerleader.
course, I was
Liz
telling
would definitely
Brian,
be a
like,
cheerleader.
yesterday, I think I was like, I wish I had that in my school. I would totally be a cheerleader.
Yo,
Okay,
we had
actually,
cheerleaders
my
now.
best-
Yo, I love it.
We are
My
the
best
worst
friend's a
cheerleaders
cheerleader.
in South Africa.
Wait.
Like,
We don't have like cheerleader. We have like the singing on the pavilion,
yeah,
but
we
not
don't
like
have cheerlead culture.
the pom-pom.
Like
At all?
we just have girls that are hot, and then like, but it's like
they just stand around the field
just
and
have-
shout at you.
And they choreograph a dance and they do flips and
But
yeah,
you
that's-
guys know
So
that.
you were saying that you have a friend that's a cheerleader.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, to be a cheerleader in the States, like, you don't have to be hot. You don't have to be whatever. Like, in the movies, it's like top-notch hotties. That's just not how it is. You can be, like, short and fat and be a cheerleader. But as long as you can do the routine and, like, you have to have different people for different positions. Like, you have spotters, you have flyers, you have, like, the bases.
See, yeah, we went in that deep.
So if you're
You
short,
know a lot
We
for
didn't go to
someone than
levels.
than a cheerleader.
so if
I've
you
watched
are,
all of the Bring It On movies.
so obviously if you are short, you're not gonna be a flyer. If you're short and fat, you're not gonna be a flyer, right?
No, they always put the tiny girls that, like, they toss up in the air.
Yeah, it just makes sense.
But in South Africa, we do have this thing. I don't know what it's called, but these girls have sticks, and they throw the sticks in the air.
Oh,
Oh.
it's baton twirling.
Baton. But that's
Yeah, what? That's trip, bro.
Yeah.
Like that's
Yeah,
a thing.
it's,
Hockey sticks?
no.
it's like,
It's
they're
like
like
they go in
march-
front
It's
of
like a
the,
marching
the
thing.
band,
It's
the
all
march
about
band.
us.
Yeah.
Like a marching
Yeah,
band,
that's
but
it.
not a
Like
band.
circus
Like
kind of stuff, right?
And a Taylor Swift video clip.
But
Yes.
they're not a, like the thing
Great
is,
reference.
I don't know if they are band,
I had friends that did
but
that.
they throw that stick up in the
Botanist.
air.
Yeah.
You know, like I don't know. Maybe in the comments you guys know what it is.
If
Like
anybody
if you
knows
know
what
what
is the
stick
name
throwing we're talking about,
Let
let
that
us
stick-
know.
that stick throwing thing.
of it. Liz,
Batonistas.
do you wanna mention any sport besides the obvious?
Volleyball. I think
Was
we
it
have
big for you?
we have a female team in Brazil that is good. Volleyball
Yeah,
team.
the male also.
Yeah.
We were
Yeah,
like
that's true.
world champions many times.
Yeah, that's true.
Volleyball. I would bet saying that it's probably the second sport in Brazil.
Yeah, I would say
It's
that
big,
too.
and especially because we
Yeah.
have volleyball and beach volleyball.
Yeah.
Both were like pretty good.
Yeah,
And we
beach
really
volleyball is
like-
huge in my town because I live in a beach town.
Basketball is also
Yeah.
famous in Brazil, not as much, but
Yeah.
it was in the past. It was more.
Yeah.
Then we have other stuff that we have. We have had good people in like Formula One, like racing.
Ooh,
basically.
that's true. That's true.
We always
You had
loved
that
it.
in high school.
Yo, no,
No,
not
no,
in
no,
high
no,
school.
no.
Every
Dude,
Sunday,
I would love to do
Yes.
Formula One
every
in high
Sunday
school.
you sit and you watch.
What's the
with your
Brazilian guy?
family.
Senna, Ayrton
Senna,
Senna.
Ayrton
Yeah.
Senna.
So he was the
Oh.
best.
There's
He
a
was three
documentary on
times.
him.
Yeah, he was 3 times champion. It was amazing. He became a tradition like on the 90s. People that are like my age or like millennials, it was a tradition in Brazil to see every Sunday to watch the Formula One race because Senna was an underdog.
Yeah.
So he was always like struggling. His car broke. He would always win in the rain.
Yeah.
Oh,
It was amazing. Like,
Yeah.
and he would always overcome somehow in the race. Like
Yeah.
his car breaks, and then he goes like in 25th place, and then he takes everybody in 2 laps, and then he wins the race.
Yeah.
He was like a hero, and he died in '94. it was big. Like it was.
Yeah, crazy
Yeah, it was
crash.
crazy in Brazil. It was like a
Yeah.
it was.
We have like just like illegal street racing every Sunday that we will go.
Yeah.
It happens here in
Drag
Worcester
racing.
also, huh?
You
Yeah.
can hear
Yeah,
the
you can
cars.
hear it.
Yeah.
Dude, just take me. I want to watch one of those.
Oh my
That's the
gosh,
thing.
Liz, you would love it.
Of course I would.
Like so, but the scene is like this, right?
It's Fast and Furious
it's
South Africa.
literally,
version.
it's literally Fast
It
and
is.
Furious.
Oh my gosh, I want to be that girl that just drops the fabric.
Yo,
That
this
would
totally
there,
Yes.
there even is
I
like a
see
pink
her.
slip, right, Dylan? There's like
But
people
yeah,
lose their cars there.
That's insane, bro.
What was that song from Fast and Furious that we were listening? We went to Cape Town another time to pick up some stuff, and then we were listening to this song the whole time.
No way, no
Fast
way.
and-
No way, man, there.
Can I tell you guys a funny thing about
Tell us
last
all
last
about it.
episode we had Joshua with us from Burundi.
Yeah, yeah.
So he was a troubadour student here on the base, and he was staff for some time also. And one day we went in the mall. I know Sharon is there. She was with us, I think. So he was with us. Josh, Sharon, Michael, and Beef, I think. And we were walking the mall. I think we went to buy pizza or whatever. And then at some stage we passed towards the cinema, and those posters were there. And then Josh, he saw the poster of the Fast and Furious. And he was like, guys, we should come and watch that movie. I love that movie. The one about the cars. We were like, which one, Josh? He's like, the Fast and the Furious. And we never forgot that one. And then even today, sometimes when I'm chatting with him, I'm like, Josh, you want to watch the Fast and the Furious with me? So cool. I miss that dude so much, man. He was so fun.
One sport that's also that we do a lot in schools in South Africa is swimming.
Swimming.
Yeah.
Oh
very
yeah,
popular.
we do
I
some.
swear,
that's
like
huge.
I was like not
Tennis,
forced,
swimming, golf. Man,
yeah,
we do
golf.
everything.
For me, okay, my cousin, she's like kind of a pro golfer right now, but for me, golf is so difficult to watch. It's
Dude,
a
to
So
whole-
watch it's
boring.
horrible. If you play it, it's
so
okay.
boring.
Yeah.
But like to
like
watch
she
it,
explained it to me though, like, and actually golf is it's a trip because it's a mental sport. It's a super mental sport, you know. Like,
Yeah, people like golf in South Africa.
You
in
must,
Brazil,
yeah, you
it's
must
not
be
our deal.
mentally strong though.
Someone told me in
You play golf? That's dope.
some alternative sports that we do also have like champions in Brazil. That's big. Anderson is mentioning. If I don't mention this, he's gonna
That's
kill
true.
me.
Yeah, he will.
Which is surf.
Yeah,
We have
Oh.
pretty good guys surfing.
that's true.
I had the privilege of seeing
Yeah.
Angel Berg,
Gabriel
right?
Medina
Yes.
and Filipinho winning J-Bay.
I
J-Bay,
high five
yeah,
them.
Oh,
J-Bay.
really?
Yo, the dude, man, they do stuff in the waves that the other guys don't do. You know, like they flip, like
Yeah, yeah.
like skateboards,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
it's
yeah,
a
yeah.
surfboard.
Oh.
It's pretty out of the box, and it was really amazing to see that.
So
And
proud.
skateboard also. We
Yeah.
have some guys.
And
There's
you
one
have
guy
good-
called Bob Burnquist.
Yeah.
He's a Brazilian
Oh, he's
skateboarder.
Brazilian.
Yeah,
He's
he's old.
Brazilian.
He's old.
And Luan
He's
Luan
OG.
Yeah,
Oliveira.
but Bob Burnquist is like the OG.
OG.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he was the guy that
OG.
actually he mastered the
Pipe.
mega ramp.
Yeah.
Oh,
Man, just
okay.
have
He has
mega
a
ramp.
mega ramp
Yeah.
in
the-
his backyard.
in his backyard,
What?
like one of the biggest in the
Dude.
world in his backyard. He's
Do you
like
know
pretty crazy.
Luan Oliveira?
No.
So
I
the
don't know
one,
many
the one over there is
skateboards.
the
He's like new
yeah,
age.
face of
He's
Brazil.
good
And there's another one,
Brazilian. And then
Felipe.
there's that chick.
Yeah, Leticia Buffoni.
Oh yeah, she's good.
Yeah, she's dope.
But they all live in the
And you
US.
guys have good esports people.
Oh yeah, esports
They have a
is
lot of
huge.
esports.
Yeah. I'm actually I never thought that I would actually like esports.
What does that
Like
mean?
it's video games,
Video games.
basically, but
Video game sports.
competitive video game. So
Yeah,
it's like
racing.
For your country.
For your
So like
country.
your country, so that your country.
It's a
sends
national sport.
team.
It's in like a
I
national
have
sport.
No idea.
So
Yeah.
like,
I'm
so you guys like I
so
think
the game that I play, there is like a world championship on that, and then there's teams from every nation.
Yo,
And I
that's
mean,
dope.
right
That's
now
really
the
dope.
Chinese is killing everyone.
Of course,
The
Chinese.
Chinese and the Koreans.
Literally.
yeah,
They're good.
Okay,
And-
shout out to my mom who just
Yeah.
hopped on here.
Hey, hola
We love the
mamacita.
moms. We love the
Hola,
moms.
mamacita.
I want to hear about your quilt.
My mom quilts, guys. She's super
the
into
quilt
it. 'Cause
done?
she's a grandma and she's retired.
Is the quilt
But she's
done?
asking about like extreme sports, like individual sports, base jumping. This is where she's making by this flying,
Solo.
flying in squirrel outfits.
Does your mom do base jumping?
No, but this is her favorite thing. She
What's
loves
base
watching
jumping?
movies and things like this. Base jumping is when you jump off of like a cliff and
Or a very high building?
or a very, but yeah, like a high building.
Yeah, we don't
things
do
like
that.
this.
Like
and then
like
you-
Red Bull Sports.
Yes,
with
exactly.
parachutes.
I
Like
feel like the
parkour or
Europeans
like
do
into
that.
the water?
You know, a lot of
Nah, we
Europeans.
okay.
Yeah, this is a thing. This is a thing in the States, like extreme individual sports, like even like mountain climbing.
Ooh, that's
Um,
Free hand climbing.
Yeah, like free soloing.
yes, that guy with the yellow
That's
Yeah.
scary.
thing.
Have you guys seen that?
You wanna see something really cool? Sharon just wrote here. Sharon's brother, he's the #1 in South Africa for StarCraft. Esports.
Oh, really?
Esport,
Wow.
yeah. He sponsored.
Wow.
If you
That's
follow him on
insane.
On Instagram, he'll share like, oh, I'm sponsored by this keyboard company. You know, this kind of thing.
Oh, that's dope.
Esport. He's an esport
That's
like.
dope.
So I think my aunt's brother, he was like in the, not like the first, but he was in the team that was first in Call of Duty like 10 years ago or something.
Whoa,
Like
that's-
just when esports started.
I
that's it.
I just got to the level of Mario with the dragon.
You got Mario?
right?
Did you beat the dragon?
Yeah, they probably have a Mario World Championship going on
Dude,
somewhere.
I will be the champion. Nothing.
But when-
This only plays
you know
Mario.
when all the lines, that fire lines come, then Mario's like up and down.
And when he flies, is the best.
So esports is really a thing, guys. It's really
Wow,
like
I had no idea.
yeah.
Men
So
know
you should
that.
check that. It's going to be. I mean, some
really getting bigger.
some televisions like sport. They are already broadcasting the
Yeah.
championships when they happen.
Yeah,
That's
Pretty
right.
cool. Yeah.
That's what's
All right, last one of the night. 1 hour and 50 minutes.
Your
We are ready.
funeral.
So to close this, we have 10 minutes to close this. Let's
talk
talk
about
about
funerals.
funerals.
Hey.
Remember, as I say funeral, you just picture those guys doing the coffin
Oh
dance.
yeah.
Oh my gosh. you
Ba-da-da,
The
ba-
memes.
ba- 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 ba-da-da. The best one. Do you guys know the story about that thing?
No.
So those guys
Wait,
are from
you gonna
Nigeria.
tell us the story plus 10 minutes, or
No.
the
I'm
stories-
gonna tell real quick the story, so you guys have context of that meme.
Yes.
Those guys are from Nigeria.
I swear it was
So
Moses
that is not Nigerian culture per se of funerals, but that guy, he's actually an entrepreneur. So he started a company, a funeral company, and then he said, I want to do something different than they are offering.
that's different.
So then he said to the people, do you want us, I can come with my crew, we organize your funeral, and we get the coffin, we do a choreography with the coffin, we do all this stuff. And then they did one wedding, someone recorded it, and then they started putting the wedding, a funeral, and they started putting it on the internet, and the video went viral, and
my
his
gosh.
company is big now, because they do the dance
Wow.
with the coffin.
No way.
So I'm not sure if they used to dance with the coffin in Nigeria before. Maybe our Nigerian friends can say it there, but I know that
Pastor Fola, is that
now it's pretty famous. That is pretty cool. So funerals.
Yo.
Cabello, tell us.
Okay. From the perspective that Madira wanted to ask, well, to actually say, as she mentioned it last week, in our culture, if you pass on or somebody passes on, like between Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, there's a possibility of the person being buried Saturday. But from like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, it means you'll be buried a week after, you know, because we want people to have enough time to make it to the funeral and to prepare also for the funeral. So we cannot just say from Wednesday we're going to bury you on Saturday. It hardly happens. Sometimes it does happen, but usually it does. And the sad part is that it also has a lot of costs attached to it as
Okay,
well.
yes.
I think that's why funeral policy companies, they're really making it big in terms of selling to our culture. And you find that a person usually has more than one policy, and like, are you going to die twice? But, you know, that's a different story. Yeah, but I think there's also a negative attachment to it. That sometimes we want to give you an explosive, a luxurious send-off somehow, instead of dealing with what's going to be happening after the person has passed on. But that's usually the thing. We wait for a certain time, and then we also flash it. It's a flashy funeral. It's It's very sad that the after effects are very sad. I mean, beef flesh, if you can afford, and if it's not going to have after effects that are negative and things like that. But otherwise,
Oh, so you're saying like it comes at a cost. For
it comes at a
Yeah.
cost because in my culture, sadly, there is a lot of competition, and even if it's not a competition, an individual wants to be identified as I'm not struggling. Do you understand? So people have created even expectations of themselves to say they must see that I'm doing well off, and there's actually a song that says
So you have to have nice food, nice
Yes.
this, nice
at
that.
a funeral. So when you die, you plan. Okay, my funeral is gonna. Is that like?
you don't plan it for your funeral. You're just saying
It's an event.
yeah,
Oh,
it's an
okay.
event.
It's an
It's an event. There's a song that says "Lifula haile ampidisa." It means I actually gain out of your death. you know, it says actually out of your death I live. It's just like I'm leaving now because you kind of dead.
Thank
So-
you for dying.
It's exactly.
Yeah.
It's sort of saying that.
That you should be singing to Jesus, not
know-
to your neighbor.
And do you guys have any like outfits? Like you wear black, white? What is
Yes.
it?
There is black when someone in your family has, during the funeral, there's black. And culturally also, during the week when the person has passed on, there's this like white powder that sometimes is painted on the window to indicate to anybody that can see, okay, there's a funeral in the family that's in the process. It's an indicator. Some people use flags. There's a flag outside to indicate that. And if maybe the person who has passed on is your how do I say, your spouse, then usually women, they get to wear a specific attire for a certain
what?
amount, a specific attire, like
Costume.
a costume. Sort of like if I'm going to wear all black, it's going to be this type of black for the next 2 months. So you can have the same outfit,
Oh, I
you
see.
repeat it, or you can, all of that. For guys, there's usually like a band. You know when you have a band for the captain or
captain.
soccer
Yeah.
team? Yeah, guys usually have that when your spouse is passed on. Yeah, so that's very cultural in,
Wow.
in where
I
come
thought it
from.
was like.
Why
It
the
also includes, from last week's conversation, it also includes the part when they talk to the cow before they slaughter the cow as well. Because they slaughter a cow during funerals as well. So when the cow is bought for the funeral, they speak to it like, yeah, you're going down. And then,
Be a good cow.
Thanks for
Yeah.
dying
But
for
I
us.
think that's kind of a cool way. Like just like you, thank you, you served your purpose.
and also there's like the official day when you can take off the whole thing, the attire,
Uh-huh.
for both men or the woman, depending on who's left behind. It's another ceremony, another
Yo.
cost implicated.
Yo.
It's a ceremony, another, maybe this time a sheep that has to be slaughtered and everything, and then it's going to be like unveiling of the tombstone, where now it's an event to say, okay, come, we're going back there, we're going to open the tombstone. So kind of wise families are adapting now to make it the same day of the funeral. It's the funeral, we go in there, and then they already bought the stone, it's covered there, and then after we do
So there is a whole business
So it's a whole
behind the
business
whole
is
thing.
booming. That's one of the things. In my culture, there are people that make jokes about saying two businesses that will never go out. It's the liquor business and the funeral
funeral
business.
business.
Those two.
Yeah.
We can always
I mean,
make
people
money.
will always die.
So like
That's what
a
they say.
funeral's like whole day.
Usually it starts in the morning where the family is supposed to come in. Only family members come in, and you also get to see the cops. And then it proceeds to a program. The program is the one that consumes the day.
Yeah.
The neighbor has to speak. The one who's looking after the person has to speak.
everyone,
The obituary has to be read, and the cousins have to speak. Yada yada yada. And then the pastor has to preach for about an hour, minimum 1 hour.
Yeah.
And then there's like the whole convoy to the funeral, to the graveyard. And then when we get there, it's another process. Then we
And
go
you
back.
have specific songs that those
Yes.
are for funeral.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then after the burial at the graveyard, it's another journey to go back home. Then that's where we're going to eat. And then we have the after tears. Oh my gosh.
So
After
it's
tears
long.
is a party, basically. It's a party because there people now are allowed to sit with their booze and drink and everything. Music can now be played because during the week when the person has passed, there's literally they cover the TV. We cover the TV. Let me not say that.
Really?
We cover the TV. The radio is supposed to be off the entire time and everything like that. But after the burial and everything, when we are back in the house, the TV can be turned on, the sound can be turned on, the booze
Then
can be
there's
opened.
party.
That's kind of
Yeah.
What about you, Dylan?
Colored people. This is something I've heard it every funeral, you know that's your family. Like, you meet family at funerals and weddings. Like, I go to funeral. I haven't been to many funerals. I think like just 3 of my whole, like, you know. But yeah, like recent was my grandma. But at all the funerals, then, like, my mother or my father would be like, you know that's your family. And I just find new family.
I know that.
And I'm like,
That's your
okay.
cousin.
Yeah,
You're
that's
like,
your-
oh, really?
That's your cousin. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Food is good at funerals. There's always that one auntie that cries the worst. That cries so ugly. Oh my gosh! Like, but that's what is a funeral without that ugly cry. That
So for you guys, it doesn't go like forever, right? Like a whole week,
I
or
think no.
Just a few days.
We do the memorial where
Yeah.
you visit, where everyone visits the family. Like, so, like, let's say someone died Monday,
Mm-hmm.
you know, then the weekend or maybe Friday or Thursday. So then, you know, the weekend. It's always like we always for a Sunday or like a Saturday or a Friday. Like, that's
Also
Within
give
a
it a
few
time
days.
for people to arrive.
yeah, you waiting, like, you know, for people to come, and then also like setting everything in order. But also, we do like, I know memorials are a big thing because my father's a pastor, so he had to go to a lot of my father and my mother. They had to go to a lot of memorials. You know, like someone died, then like, you know, like, you know. But you know, it's weird. Like growing up, like, because my parents were so connected with like church and stuff. Every week, like somebody, yeah, do you know this person passed away? And my mother would come to me, do you know this person passed away? I don't know who that person is,
Yes.
but I'm sorry.
But
like,
Pastor's kid problems.
you know that funerals are usually a great time to evangelize. It's
Yeah.
like
It's so
yeah,
true.
yeah, pastors
there's
and
always they always
missionaries
have a,
and-
like
That's a well worth 1 hour preaching there.
Yeah.
yeah, because people are reflecting about their lives
Yeah.
and this stuff.
Are
Burger,
they
how
though?
does it work
Are
for
they
you?
really?
Mine sounds very similar to Dylan, the Afrikaans culture. I think one thing that we try to do at least is, if say like your husband dies or your wife dies, and you're then alone in the house, other family tries to go over like as soon as possible, even before the wedding. So say
Before the
like
wedding.
The funeral.
before the funeral.
We keep on
What is
confusing
with
wedding
this?
and
What is
funeral.
with this mix-up?
Yeah, I don't
Two
know.
polar opposites.
So like the funeral is on a
It's because you
the death
die for
was-
the singleness.
so like the death was on a Sunday and the funeral is like the Friday. Then like Monday people would like close people.
Yeah.
So like your sister or your mother or your child
Like to give
would come over to
assistance.
have like some comfort
cool.
during that week.
Very
But the rest sounds very similar to what Dylan said. Food, a big thing, getting together over food.
Do you guys do memorials? Like you talk about the person?
like in
Yeah.
the week, you
That's
know,
really
like
cool.
before the funeral, like in the week, like the church people and other people will like visit at their house.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Like on a Wednesday night or something, and maybe sing songs.
Yeah,
or
they
like,
would come visit, like give their regards
yeah,
and
yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
But unlike Abelus, we try to keep it short.
Yeah.
You know, there's like the obituary and like close people that speak and a short preaching. But I would say like everything all together less than an hour. So like an hour around there.
Madiro is saying here that she is a good MC in the funerals. You can hire her. I didn't even know, Madiro, you could have an MC on the funeral. Right? So you have the MC. Do you hire
okay,
them, or is
Madiro.
usually someone that is outspoken? The mic?
It's usually someone who can keep the crowd
Okay.
awake, but also it's someone who can also learn to be firm so that you can say, when someone is taking too long and it's not their place to be taking too long, you have to be firm enough to say like, okay, you explain it to everybody before you start. You say, okay, you're going to have how long to speak, and if you see me standing close to you, please just know, wrap it up.
That's a lot of things to program. you
It's,
know.
no, you know, they
That's
have
why
to have
Madiro is
the-
so skilled.
It's similar to a wedding.
But Maduro may not be a good MC because Maduro can sing, and usually the people that can sing, they make bad MCs because now they
always-
sing and you know they get fired up in the
Always break up,
spirit,
they always,
Sorry,
they always break
Madeira.
into song.
you know.
Are you one of those, Madiro?
So you will enjoy, yes,
Yeah.
but time will be going.
Okay,
Oh,
I'll go.
Amazing
I'll go
Grace.
to Jen, and then we speak about Brazil.
Brian say
The
that he has
Brazilian
the
culture.
best funeral jokes.
Ryan,
Oh,
please,
Lord.
please share some of
Please
your
put them in the
funeral
comments,
jokes in the
Brian. I would
comments for
love
us.
to hear these.
Yes, honey, tell us.
Come on, B-Dog.
Yeah, in the States, kind of similar to what Burger was saying. We keep it short. people don't like to linger on death. People like keep a fast pace in the States. They want to move on. So if you die, then maybe a couple days later they'll do a wake, which is like a memorial. It sounds like the same thing, where you can come, pay your respects. Bringing food is a huge thing in my culture. Like people will bring like casseroles and like tons of prepared foods for the family that's left behind. And
That's really interesting. I think they do that because they know people don't want to make like really food. Like when
Exactly,
someone
because
You
when
don't
you're
feel
like
like cooking.
when you're sad, you
Exactly.
don't want to make food. It's like the last thing you think
Yeah.
about.
dies. So that's really,
it's such a thing.
That's
it's
really
a cool
cool.
tradition.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah,
a
and it's like
burden, yeah.
always like aunties or like neighbors, like kind old ladies, things like that, or like extended family members will do that, bring food, or something that's super loving in my culture actually is like taking, if maybe it's your spouse that died, taking the kids for an afternoon just so you can like have some time away, alone to.
They're so kind.
Yeah, and then the funeral is also quite short, like maybe under an hour. There's maybe if the person is like has any type of religion, they'll speak on that, and then maybe a song or two. Someone will.
Bianca is
Pink is-
asking
yeah.
if it always rains in the funeral in the U.S. like
Every
in the
single
movies.
time they plan the funerals around the rain. If it's
I
not
knew
it.
raining, you can't
I
have
knew
a
it.
funeral.
And
You
then
get
they play
sprinklers.
Guns N' Roses' November Rain song.
And
Yeah,
then they
and there's
shoot up
always,
in the
like,
sky and put the American
gunshots.
flag over.
Yes, exactly.
And
Well,
birds
that is the thing.
flying.
Like American soldiers, they always it's like like
That's a
mandatory.
beautiful funeral, though.
I
Wait.
know.
Yeah,
I
like,
think so too.
It's such a beautiful way to honor.
Yeah, it's-
We're super all about veterans and like,
Yeah.
memorializing soldiers. So there's always some kind of military representation, unless you've been dishonorably discharged. Then
Oh, cool.
But-
And
yeah.
yeah, and then far out in the distance, the actual person standing with binoculars.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah,
just
watching-
punking everyone.
watching
Yeah,
that
they
Zone
also like
funeral.
shoot the
think they're
guns. Like,
dead. Yep.
Uh,
Oh, and we wear black, and we don't have anything after the funeral. Once the funeral's finished,
you go
move
home.
on with your life.
What?
You go home.
Oh no, then we get together.
no, that's when.
Then it's time for
I
food
know, I know.
and
no.
Well,
fellowship.
that's what, like,
Kanye.
that's what the
Kanye.
wake is for. At the wake, you'll have food or whatever,
Yeah,
or maybe
calm.
at the funeral you'll have like a coffee hour
Uh-huh.
after, where there's like food or snacks or fellowship. Everyone's crying or whatever, and then you go home.
What about like
Um,
close family? Do they also go?
Close family stays together. Like at my
Yeah.
grandparents' funerals, both of them, we all, like all of our family, we stayed together the
Yeah,
whole day.
okay.
And we went home together after we
Yeah.
stayed together.
And you always reminisce about the person, like.
Yeah, telling
That
stories.
person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dylan, your brother is saying that colored funerals are really long.
Sure, it is long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it goes the whole like.
Church service is like 2 hours, then you must go to the grave. That's another hour. And then
We
you
also
must
have
go
to go
to
to
the
the
after
grave.
party.
Yeah, I didn't mention that, but we also do that as well.
Yeah,
where
in
we,
Brazil
put
we
the
also do.
casket in the ground.
Yeah.
That is
That's an
when
extra thing.
that's when things get sad.
Dude,
you know?
That's when the
my
crying
grandpa,
starts.
like
Yeah,
he
that's
barely
really
has
sad.
space, like in his place. So it was like in between one body and the other, and it was like we barely could stand, like.
That's
to
for poor
properly
people- for
Look
poor
at that,
people
you
in
know.
Brazil,
So
it's
he was
really
like
Seriously.
going
Yeah.
down.
Wow.
Yeah, you're.
Super
My dad
full.
was also
Yeah,
like,
I think we'll explain Brazil now.
yeah, yeah. So, for my experience, and you guys can add if you. So, yeah, we also quick. The
Yeah.
one thing that saddens me is that in Brazil it's not really common that we have food, that people bring food. It's not. I don't know if it changed, but up to my time when I lived in Brazil, nobody would actually bring food,
Yeah.
to the
And we do
funeral.
like food.
Yeah, so it's like they gonna have the body there in
Yeah, in the
coffin,
church.
yeah,
Or, yeah.
or in the church or in the house, depends on what the family wants, and then, but it's just like really sad,
Yeah.
in that moment. We don't have the memorial part,
Yeah.
which I think it's amazing. Like the first time I saw one was here in South Africa. I went to a friend's friend died, and then I went, and then he was in an old age home. And he had all his buddies from the old age home coming and talking. And they were telling jokes about him, like funny stories about him. It was the best. I was like, dude, this is like a stand-up comedy funeral,
those are the
whatever.
best.
It was amazing. I was like, this dude must be amazing. Like, look what these people, We don't have that in Brazil.
Yeah,
I
we
mean, you
don't.
do. You
You do
talk
you.
with your friends and
Yeah.
you laugh, but you actually feel bad of laughing if you were in the funeral. Like, you're like,
Yes.
should we be laughing? But it's usually like real quick. I had one experience, like that was personal experience, was when my dad passed away. I was the one in charge of the whole funeral
Sure.
thing. So I organized everything. I had no clue about funerals. Like I had to figure that out in one day.
Tough.
And it's so intense, and it was just so quick. And it was like he passed very early in the morning. By 6 o'clock, 7 in the evening, it was the
Funeral.
the funeral, and then he was
In
buried.
one
and
day?
that was the
Fast.
same day. Same day.
That's how Brazil is.
That's
It
like
was
the
really-
Is
Muslims.
it? You don't wait a few days or
It's like the
something?
No,
Muslims.
no, you can, but it will be costly
Yeah.
because then there's a whole different preparation to the body and all of that.
And to burn your body as well is like super,
Super expensive in
It's
Brazil,
like
yeah.
The most
To
expensive thing.
cremate, yeah.
Yeah.
To cremate,
cremate,
it's
yeah.
very expensive in Brazil. So in my case was our choice was to make it that full day. I mean, we don't have really family that lives so far away that couldn't make it in that day.
Okay.
So so it was really quick. So but for me was the two sides was one was it was too fast. So my grieving came afterwards. You know, actually like a year maybe after. Lorena
Yeah.
can correct me, but a year maybe after. Sometimes I would call myself crying. Still be processing that because it was just so fast that I couldn't say goodbye. I was busy organizing stuff and everything. So in that sense, you know, it's not as fun as I think it could be. I mean, when the person is a Christian, it's more there will be worship and you know people evangelizing. That in Brazil, it's like for sure. If someone's a Christian and they die, you're gonna have missionaries in there and they're gonna be preaching the gospel, like preaching the gospel, like in
Bringing
their-
it down.
yeah, so that's pretty cool, I think. And we have songs, specific songs like that we sing in, like, my path to get is that, like, closer to you, God, I want to be. So it's like funeral song. We know it's.
You know,
Yeah.
I've always thought like sometimes I think about like I saw Brian's comment. Brian's comment. but
You can bury me behind Ikaya.
You know that Ikaya was the
Ikaya is a morgue.
You
yeah,
wanna
was
be
the
compost
morgue.
for the vegetable garden, Brian.
The right guy.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Hey, honey, I'm gonna die first.
Also, I did want to say oh yeah, when I die and I go to heaven, I hope I still have like my personality
Me too.
because I want to be like
My swag.
I want to be like, oh, I made it. I want to get like, I made
What?
it. Like, I
Did
don't-
I?
I'm gonna
start
wake
making
up like
jokes
days
right
and just be
away?
like, nope.
Yeah, I don't like if like the gates open or whatever happens. Like I just wake up and I'm like, Jesus. Like I want to take me straight to this person. That person is Michael Jackson. Yo, where does he live? You know, like, if
I-
he is, where does he live?
I think if we would go into that after the funeral, the whole thing, we probably would go another 2 hours.
That's
here.
that's a whole
Easily,
3-hour
you know.
conversation.
That just makes me think of the whole Sky Jatani teaching, you know, when he goes about, this is our life. Do you know the one that he
Yeah,
gets the
with the
rope?
string.
And he
Yeah.
goes like, this is our life, and this is eternity. So it's all about after this, you know,
What
eternity.
are we doing?
I really hope I.
So
have my
I'll leave you guys
personality
with
and
that
everything.
thought. What about after this? You
I'm
know,
gonna make
that's
jokes
where
of
you're.
everybody. If I get to heaven, I'm gonna just make fun of all the prophets the whole time. I'll be like, cause a ruckus then, and like.
But I do think God will probably keep our sense of humor, or maybe enhance our sense of humor somehow in heaven, because it's gonna be pretty cool. Guys, we are in 2 hours and 12 minutes. We're just beating records after record here on
Getting
this
longer and longer.
on this podcast. But
Thanks to the
I
19
wanna
people who
say
still here.
well done to all the 22 heroes that
Yes.
are with us until now. This
You
was
guys are the
amazing.
real MVPs for
Yes.
watching.
And yeah, thank you so much for being with us. We will come back next Tuesday with a new topic, and we'll be having fun and talking, and yeah, and that's it. You guys want to say anything?
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for coming. Follow us on social media.
Cheerio. Come in.
Subscribe
Share
and
and
like
subscribe.
and
Yeah.
share.
We do this every Tuesday.
And click the bell for the notifications for every time that we post.
Join us next Tuesday, 9 o'clock. Thank you.
Thank you.